Hello YouTube, hello Twitch. Welcome to our third class. This is going to be regarding calling 101. So shot calling, calling the war, whatever you want to classify that as. And after we get through the calling POV of things, we're going to get into the crashing POV things. So I'm going to talk about how to call a crash, but then we're going to talk about, once we scroll all the way down here, crashing the point 101. There's a lot of things we're going to go through. We're going to hear from Beefy. He's going to explain the Naomi theory and what she came up with. It's actually like the one thing that I really enjoy out of like Naomi's teaching. So I'm going to kind of pull that from her and give her all the credit in that. We're going to talk about the 1, 2s, and 3s and what that means. We're going to explain crash, recrash, hit, all those things. We're going to talk about all the crashing stuff. And then at the end, we're going to talk about every single player in the army, what they should be doing during a crash. What are healers doing? What are melees doing? What's a VG doing? What's the caller doing? What's the kill squads doing? And you'll hear from Toofs on the kill squads. You'll hear from Beefy with some of the main ball. We got a lot to go through and get through. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Bunters, quit being weird. Okay, welcome to the class, everybody. Hello, everybody. My name is Apples. We'll have Toofs and Beefy here. This stream is brought to you by HelloFresh. Yes, I'm the HelloFresh partner. Okay, this is my second segmented sponsor stream by them. Hashtag ad, right? Got to classify that all for you guys. And this video going up on YouTube is sponsored by HelloFresh, right? We're currently at 41 subscriptions. I have 10 days left in the campaign, and I need to hit 55 subscriptions. So if we can find 14 more subscriptions in 10 days, that will be the best holiday gift anybody can give to me. It's going to cost you $30, 3 meals for 2 people. It's great food. I got it myself. The product was amazing. I've shown you guys pictures and stuff. It's all really, really good shit. And with my discount code, you get free shipping. You get 50% off. You get a free add-on, appetizer, dessert, something of your choice. So I'd really recommend getting HelloFresh. It's I've never had HelloFresh before, and then I got it with my sponsorship here, and it's really good shit. All 3 meals cooked, beautiful stuff, all good stuff. The dessert, we got some pineapple upside down cake. It was my favorite thing out of all of it. Came out crispy and beautiful. And yeah, guys, it's going to help me. It's going to get you cheap food, right? Because normally this stuff's costing $70, $80, $90. It's like an $80 value. You get it for cheap, for $30, and you help me in my sponsorship. So it's a win-win for everybody this holiday season. Check out my link. It's exclamation point HelloFresh in the chat that I'll hit right now. And, listen, if this wasn't I've never taken a sponsorship before, right? Mainly because I don't believe in all the random products and all the energy drinks and the G Fuels and stuff, right? I believe in HelloFresh. I think this is a really, really good product. I think it's really, really good food, and I think it's an incredible value for your dollar. So that's why I took the sponsorship opportunity, and I hope you guys all get active and get some HelloFresh today, okay? You're going to be hearing that segment about 2 more times throughout the class, so, that's just what it is. This is sponsored by HelloFresh, today's stream. And let's get started, huh? Some of you guys are here for the HelloFresh, but most of you guys are here to learn about some New World. So let's get into it. Let me get a swig of water real quick. I'll stream my screen in Discord too for those not in the chat. And if you want to just be in the Discord and hear our audio twice and see screens and shit, especially when Toofs and Beefy gets to doing that, you can hop into the War Class chat too. That's up to you. Now, I put this all together last night before I went to bed at like 6 o'clock in the morning, okay? So I'm missing some pieces, and some things I'm just going to be doing off the top of my head and sharing from my experiences, right? And then other things you might hear Toofs and Beef just interject throughout the class because there's some things that just slipped my mind or I forgot about those topics, okay? Well, let's get into it. Thank you all for being here. And I think it's really important to be in the brain of a caller, right? I want to start off this class by saying that a lot of you guys, like, let's take a look at a melee, right? You have like specific jobs and responsibilities as a melee or any position in the war, a VG, a healer, right? But you're mainly only focused on your group and what the groups around you are looking like and how they're moving, right? You have to understand, like a kill squad, right? Group 7, you got to focus on bonfire and ramparts. Group 8, you got to focus on inner lane. Group 9, the next lane, and 10, the wide lane, right? Everybody like has a very blinder view of what they have to do in the war to be able to achieve the overall goal to win the war, right? Every piece goes into it, and every piece is a chess piece on the table. The caller has to think about all of your jobs and what all of you are doing, plus his own job, plus the enemy's job, plus the enemy's caller job, right? So I think that some of you guys need to take a step into the life of a caller. What are some of the things that they have to go through their mind? What are some of the things that they're talking about and thinking about during the war? And I think a lot of the callers in New World as it stands right now, they don't have a thought process behind what they're doing, right? Every caller that I watch, they call things to call things. They don't call things because there's a purpose behind calling them. And hopefully after today's class and crash, some of these callers will learn from this video, and we'll see some new callers rise up to be like, yo, I could do that. My brain is ADHD and I can handle that stuff, right? So just keep in mind that there's a lot going through the caller's head when they're warring, and give them some grace on some bad calls, right? Like that Moppers war, for example. I had a terrible crash call. I called right side, and Nitrogen even said like 3 seconds later, he goes, there's nobody here, not one. It's going to happen, right? The caller's going to fuck up sometimes, and try to give your caller a little bit of grace, right? They're not going, it's very rarely that you call a 100% perfect war, right? There's so many variables, there's disconnects, there's bugs, there's exploits, there's so much shit happening during the war that is uncontrollable. Give your caller that, and they have so much to think about. So chat, give your caller a little bit of grace, right? When you're listening to the calls, and, you know, of course, there could be some calls that are just terrible from start to finish. And, you know, maybe that's when some of the rambling starts and the frustration starts. But, you know, sometimes in general, the caller can't see everything. And that's pretty much it, right? You did say that, Nitro. I didn't take any like beef or negativity to it. It's all good. But you did throw that in there. I was like, yep, I called a crash to absolutely nobody. No, it's literally fine. It's going to happen, right? It's okay. And holding your caller accountable is good. Just do it in a positive way, right? Don't piss them off, okay? So here we go. We're going to go through all the steps of calling from start to finish, from war prep before the war even begins, to you're in the war camp and pre-war, to the opener, to the split, crashes, defaults, audibles, to the transition phase and the fort phase. I'm going to walk you through the life of a caller, through the very first step of what you have to do, all the way until the victory or defeat screen shows up on the screen, okay? So let's start with war prep here. This is the boring shit. This is something that most people should already be done if they're warring in the game, and we shouldn't really have to go through this, so we'll kind of speed run this portion, okay? But first and foremost, you have to set up your TeamSpeak properly, okay? And I'll show you real quick what that looks like on my end, so maybe some of you guys can kind of copy that and feel that. But here we are. Here's me and my TeamSpeak in Cosmic, right? This is Diana's TeamSpeak, Cosmic TeamSpeak, Parmesan's TeamSpeak, whatever. It's used for many purposes, right? Right now, you see the blue icon on my TeamSpeak. That means I'm just talking to my group, whoever's in the point team right now, okay? Now, with that being said, I don't know why I have these people muted. Maybe they've been trying to calm to me during the war. But with that being said, I can click this button, and I'm sorry I'm globaling to you guys right now. I'll stop in 1 second. I'm just showing stream. But I can click this button, and I set it up through my TeamSpeak so that everybody in the war can hear me. Every single group can hear me. And then I'm going to ask, yo, Big Mac, I'm going to need relays throughout the war. Big Mac just mic checked. I can hear him.
Group A1, we're winning.
Group A1, we're looking in. Here comes the crash into Oppo, right? And I'm globaling. Big Mac's globaling back to me and to everybody else. Everybody hears that Inner is winning, and that allows them to make the proper decisions. If you're still using Canary Discord, you have no idea what you're doing, stop it, aka Moppers. I feel like you guys have been using Canary Discord. You need to stop it. BBB, no more Canary Discord, stop it. All companies, no more Canary Discord, stop it. But yeah, so that's how that works. I press one button. See how it glows red? That means I'm talking to every single group, every single person in my TeamSpeak, and I'm allowed to speak to them, okay? I can also take that off, like right now, and just talk to my group if I just want to talk to the point team, okay? But typically, I just do this, and then I just speak through the whole war, and I talk to everybody the entire war. And then Big Mac and others will start interjecting, and that was not scripted. Big Mac, great job. Way to just step up and get that done. Good shit. That was not scripted. And that was a great example of what you need to do in the TeamSpeak, okay? So make sure your TeamSpeak is set up. This is first and foremost. This is very important. I'm telling you guys, I refused to get into TeamSpeak for the longest time. I was a boomer about it. I don't know how TeamSpeak works. I still barely know how it works, right? But then somebody showed me, and I did a war on TeamSpeak, and I said, this is absolute BIS. There's no other way to be calling a war other than through TeamSpeak. So if you're not calling through TeamSpeak, you're hard trolling. Get it done. Okay, guys? Green killing the server? Nah, Green's not killing the server. A lot of Mopper's army was on vacation. That's not a real war. Okay, let's wait for holidays. Let's let everything settle after the holidays and then see the strengths of these companies. When Mopper's is missing tons of people, that's why I'm not talking anything. That's why I'm not going crazy. Give Moppers a second to get back from holidays, okay? We're degenerates. We had the people to war on a holiday. You know, they had a lot of absences. It'll bounce out. Don't worry about the server, okay? Wait for holidays to be done. Anyways, next step, OBS recording, okay? We all need our OBSs on, recording. What that looks like, here's OBS Studio, okay? I find that this OBS version is the best OBS to record VODs on, okay? Streamlabs OBS is bad. I'm just telling you that. I've streamed for 5 years. I know how this shit works, okay? Streamlabs OBS has so many built-in integrations and functions into the actual OBS that it slows down your computer. Now, of course, if you have like an incredible, like brand new 2024 computer with 40 series with all the best processors and stuff, you could probably be fine with Streamlabs, right? But for most of us everyday folks, Streamlabs OBS provides takes up a lot of resources and stuff with your computer, and it slows everything down, and it's going to drop your frames. Use OBS Studio, Project OBS, any of this stuff. Pure open broadcasting software, that's what it stands for, and it will take up less resources, and all you have to do is just get a game capture, right? You game capture. I'm on display because I'm streaming right now, but you just game capture it and you stop and you start recording and just check your files and where the file of the recording is going, and you're all good to go. I highly, highly recommend using this OBS. Okay. So there we go. We got our TeamSpeak set up. We got our OBS recording done. Let's move on. Flail as caller. Why and what gear do you want? Okay. So for this, I'm not in the game right now. Oh, easy. Nice. I can be in the game in 1 second. Let me show you my gear. Okay. I'll show you my gear, but Flail is a caller. So Flail is the easiest class to play on, and the caller is the hardest position to do in the war, right, chat? So you want to make sure that you're integrating bang for your buck, right? As a caller, you don't want to be a healer, because as a healer, you're already kind of a caller for your group. You're calling your cooldowns, you're calling sacreds, like who's the casting going on, you're calling where the pressures are coming from. You're calling a lot for your group, right? So you can't be a healer. You can't be a melee. VG maybe, but pretty much Flail is best for caller, okay? Flail is best for caller, okay? So what you need to do is there's a lot of stuff in the Flail tree that's going to help the caller give value to the army by doing very limited stuff, okay? You're going to get cleanse on clumps for your group with your vortex. You're going to get trip, right? It's pretty easy for you to walk up to a clump or walk up to a solo that's getting dogged down and just click a button and trip them and provide 1 extra CC for your point team, okay? Also, when you're using the Ice Gauntlet, I should have said Flail IG. When you're using the Ice Gauntlet, in my opinion, IG is one of the best weapons and will always be one of the best weapons. You have Wall and you have Tomb. Those 2 things alone, you could throw Shower on there, Storm, whatever you want to call it. You could throw that on there just for shits and giggles for a little extra pad or whatever. It's to slow army enemies or whatever. But your main things are Wall and Tomb. Your Wall is going to be used to set up crashes, and your Tomb is going to be used for sustainability when you need a heal and when to get out of it. Flail also has a built-in thing in its tree that gives you, what is it, 25% armor or health. I forget exactly what it is. We're going to look right now. So when you look at the Flail tree, there's right here, 25% max health of your physical armor rating. So you're just getting another buff with your Flail. It also has a shield attached to it. So if you just need to hold your shield for a second to catch a heal, you could do that too. There's just so much value here. I recommend running Vortex. I recommend Arcane Smite. You do need, the one mandatory perk you need is Burdening Smite on your Flail. Please tell me I have it so I'm not just perfect. Burdening Smite on your Power Stone. If you don't have Power Stone, you're trolling. Read what it does. Hell, Heavy Burden, right? And if you don't have Burdening Smite on your Flail, you're also trolling. Okay, that's the only really perk that is necessary that you need. All right, Ice Gauntlet, you want Shower, Wall, Tomb. Okay, you're gonna want the Cleansing Tomb. That's a debuff cleanse for you. Okay, Ice Gauntlet tree doesn't matter too much, but you need those 3 things. Okay, so that's really, really important. Sorry, I'm not paying attention to chat right now because I'm already rambling and we need to get through this stuff. So I'll take all questions and I'll talk to chat later. Okay, perfect. So That's what you want. Now, what gear do you want? I already told you. There's 2 perks you need. You need the Burning Smite, and then on your Ice Gauntlet, you're going to need not what I have. Wow. Do as I say, not as I do. I will fix this. Holy shit. You want Deadly Frost. Is it Deadly Frost? Toofs, can you chime in? Is it Deadly Frost? Deadly Frost, yeah. Do we want Deadly Frost? Yeah, Deadly Frost. Whatever the Ice Wall Shat perk is, okay? I always get Unending Thaw and Deadly Frost. I get them confused every single time I talk about this topic. One is for...
the one that reduces the cooldown?
Correct. Correct. We want the one that reduces the cooldown on the Ice Shower, okay? You don't want the one that gives extra damage for the Storm. Storm doesn't matter. It's all about Wall and Shower, okay? So you want Deadly Frost on your Ice Gauntlet, okay? Now, as far as your gear perks that you're going to want, here's a really simple way to get Biss. You guys ready? You're going to want 4 pieces of Glacial Tarn gear, and you're going to want head, gloves, legs, and feet. And what this is going to do, you're going to put a conditioning on every single one, okay? I recommend mostly Slash. I recommend, though, add in a little Thrust is good, and add in a little Strike is good. Mostly Slash with a little Thrust and a little Strike. I have a little bit more Thrust than I want because this is also a healer account, so I can keep my pieces in my healer gear, right? But you're going to want, whatever you have here, you see how I have Slash on here? You're going to want a little Slash, a little Strike, and a little Thrust scattered throughout this of conditioning, okay? Elemental Aversion and Enchanted Ward, those are your 2 Biss perks. They're going to give you all defensive perks, and then you're going to get a Dark Plate, okay? Dark Plate, what does that do? Your armor is now increased by 20%. So you're going to get an increase of armor by 20%. You're also going to get a 25% health increase of your armor, right? So it all just synergizes together and you're just a beefy, tanky ass motherfucker. You're also going to get a shield. I recommend a tower shield. Sure, it gives an extra roll or something, right? I don't know how it all works. Some people say to get off tower shield, but I go with a tower shield. The gear score doesn't really matter at all. But you are going to want to make sure that you have at least some sort of a shield ward on there. I picked Flame because it's going to be the only thing that I keep fire on, okay? And it's going to give me an extra 15% less fire damage when I have my shield out with my flail. I don't mind it. It's going to help me in crashes when I'm getting blown up by fire. You might want Slash. You might want something else on there. You want shield defense, enchanted ward, an extra stack of that, and whatever else. It doesn't really matter, okay? On your amulet, you're going to want health and a protection. On your ring, you're going to want hardy and probably like a keen awareness, but honestly, purifying heart is pretty good for you as well. Purifying heart rune. There's some other things. Rings are, you know, there's some other things you can make work in the ring category. And then earring, you could slap on a nice hoplite earring and throw fortifying toast, refreshing toast on it, and you're fine. Okay. Some of the jewelry, right? Obviously, you want Ankh. If you can get Ankh, you want Ankh, right? That's what you want as a caller. Not all of us have the pleasure of getting Ankh. Now, some callers go stone form. I'm just going to be honest. I think that's cope. Get off stone form. Okay. You have 400 con or 350 con. You have dark plate with extra armor, and you have a built-in thing in your flail tree that gives you 25% extra health. You do not need stone form. If you can't live through all that, go 500 con. That's it. Get a new healer or get better at the game if you need stone form, okay? You're going to want to go with vines because you're the first person to set up every single crash, right? So always run vines, in my opinion. You don't need, you have tomb, you have wall, you have 23,000 HP, you have incredible defensive perks, you have dark plate, and you have whatever the last thing was that you needed, right? You have so many things that are playing in your favor. You don't need stone form. That is cope. Okay, we're holding all questions to the end, Plow. If you have questions, I'll answer everything at the end, okay? Awesome. And if you guys are tired of ads, I'm pumping ads all of this ad break. If you're tired of ads, sub. Drop a Twitch Prime. Drop a sub. Okay, we'll be doing classes all of next month of January and all that good stuff, all right? So that's your gear. You want as many defensive perks, okay? I don't recommend health because if you're a heavy caller, you have Tarn gear, and then you can slap on conditionings and get a little extra tanky. Yeah, easy peasy. Easy peasy. So that is everything you need to know about gear, all right? And the setup for calling. Your attributes should look, you can run 350 con, everything else focus. That's okay. But if you're dying a lot, it should be 350 con, 250 focus, or like 260, 270 focus. But if you're dying a lot, you can bump that to 400. If you're still dying at 400, go to 500, okay? Because again, your impact is through all of the passives and everything through the flail tree and setting up crashes with your ice wall. That's your impact. Not doing damage, not healing. That's the other flail, right? That's the nefarious Ramos. That's the Sweezy Fabrizis of the companies, right? Let them cook the healing. Let them cook the damage. Let them do the work. Your job is to just do the passives and help the army as much as you can. So if you're dying at this spec, juice up the con and you'll be all right. Thanks to the sub bunters. Appreciate you, dog. Salute. All right. So good conversation there. We're going to go back to this. All right. That's everything about Flail IG. Why do you want it and what gear do you want? Moving on. Raid plan, understand it without having to look during the war. I'm going to talk about this for 1 minute. Okay. Especially on defense, which we're going to go through raid plans and stuff later on. But especially on defense, you should have this shit memorized. Okay. Now, if it's your first couple wars, you're not going to have it memorized and that's okay. But when you've called 500 wars and you're still looking at your monitor for the same defensive default raid plan that you've done for the last 2 years in this game, that's a problem. I don't know if that's like a brain problem or something, but or a confidence issue, or you're not doing your homework or whatever. But I haven't changed Cosmic's defense raid plan besides like tinkering with the regroup. We haven't changed this in like a year and a half, because there's nothing to change on defense. It's the same shit. Defense is all reactionary, which again, we'll talk about throughout the thing. So for your raid plan, understand what you're calling. Now in attack, it gets a little bit more complicated. You're doing different splits, you're doing different openers, you're doing different audibles on here. I get it if you have to look at your monitor, but especially on defense, make sure you're going through the raid plan with yourself before the pre-war, right? Make sure you're studying it, make sure you know. It's really simple, right? Okay, here we go. Big Mac just calmed to me. Yo, they're sending like 30 over to see off a split. Okay, no problem. I want 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 to go over. And once we get there, we're going to see what's going on. I want 1 and 2 to go to the point as well. But we'll see. 1 and 2, give me a second, hold at B, clean up B, and then we'll get you over to C. I didn't look at a raid plan at all. I closed the raid plan to tell you guys how easy it is, right? It's the same shit. You know your strong side groups are going to help C. You know your rotate groups, right? It would be the same thing if you're trying to hold A on Morningdale. You're going to say, yo, I want my 3, 5, 7 to immediately go check Morningdale or whatever it may be, right? Or maybe your raid plan's flipped to match it, 8, 9, 10, whatever. But make sure as a caller, you're understanding your raid plan so you're not staring at your monitor half the war and alt-tabbing and clicking through each slide, okay? You could still use it as a point of reference. You can still use it for help. But mainly, you should have a little notepad on your side monitor with things you need to focus on to be a better caller, not just the raid plan, okay? So look at that. Rostering. Understand which groups you can rely on, where you'll have your advantages, and where you will lose. Have a group in mind you can move around the war to things you might need done. So Caller 101 is all about understanding advantages and disadvantages. That's all that war is, right? So understand where you're creating your advantages and where you are losing and you'll have a disadvantage. And you can understand that before the war even starts, guys. You can get that from looking at your roster and saying like, our weak side's a little weak today. Is there anything we could do there? No. Okay, I'm going to be playing for strong side today. Our weak side has some weaker, newer players in it. That's okay. Maybe I'm going to direct my point team to help out weak side a little bit more. Or maybe I just want to create such a strong advantage on my strong side that it doesn't matter if the weak side stalemates and loses, right? So there's a lot of things that you have to, I would go through the roster, especially if you're calling for another army, right? Say, F-ballers hit you up. Yo, we need an emergency caller. You're not in our company. Can you call? I would ask F-ballers for the roster, right? Going into a competitive war, I want to see what my roster is. I want to see the composition. I want to see where we can create advantages and where we are going to lose probably, and have all this understood in my head. So going into the war, we're prepared to make those audibles and those adjustments on the fly, okay? This is what I mean, that callers don't do this shit. They don't think about the processes in their head. They don't understand where they can have advantages and disadvantages, okay? So for me, for example, with Parmesanas, we stack our point team so hard that I can flex around the point team. If I need a couple of the point team players to go into Oppo, we can do that. And some of these players like Nitrogen and Beefy, they already have the understanding and they know war so well that they don't even need my call. They'll just know like, shit, Oppo's losing. I'm just going to run out there and do it. Right? So I know my point team is super strong, and that's the group that I can kind of move around like a chess piece and take care of and plug different holes that we have problems with, right? So you have to do the same. Find out who your best players are. Find out who you can rely on to get the job done, and then use that in your game plan, right? Explain to each group their expectations, not in pre-war. This should be done as homework before your pre-war begins. You should be having a little class of your own like we do here, but with your own groups. Or in Cosmic, right? I could show this real quick without leaking anything. In the Cosmic Discord, we have all of these, right? Where we post the roster for each group and who's going to be in it and stuff. And then we can go into those groups and say, yo, tonight, group 6, I really want you focused on this. Group 8, I really want you working on this, okay? So there's a lot of different ways. If you can't get everybody into a call because everybody's schedule's all over the place before the war, I get it, no problem. At least communicate it to them through text, right? Make sure that that communication's had, the expectations you want for them, or get with group leads, right? If you have certain group leads in your groups, talk to them in a VC, and then they can relay all the information to their group, right? But expectations and communications need to be set for each group before the pre-war even begins, because you have 10 minutes to talk in pre-war. You can't spend that whole time saying, yo, group 3, I really need you to work on this today. And group 4, you guys are doing better. You don't have time to do that. You got to get through the raid plan. You got to get the army ready. You got to fill the replacement slots. You got a lot of shit to do in pre-war. Let's not worry about coaching the groups then. Let's do that before the war begins and after the war. Okay. Next up, you yourself, you better buy consumes. Don't show up to the war without consumes. So go to the market, get your consumes, and upgrade your gear for war. Get your matrices, get your stuff right. Okay. And then last and finally, before you get into the war camp, build rapport with a lead point melee. This is so important. Me and Beefy, we've been playing the game together for about a year and a half, and we have a strong understanding of he knows what I'm going to do as a caller, and I know how he's going to lead the point team, right? And this conversation doesn't really need to be had anymore between us. If there's something that like, yo, we really need to adjust, or we're weak on, or we need to change, I'll talk to him before the war. That's fine. But otherwise, everybody else needs to be building rapport with a lead point melee. You have to be on the same page. If the point team and the caller are on 2 different pages, you lose the war. Your main ball's gone and it's chalked, okay? The point team needs to trust the caller and what the caller is saying, even if they think the crash is bad, or even if they think the Zerg call is bad, or whatever else. And the caller needs to trust the lead point melee, that they know how to move around the point properly, they know how to dog the same targets, and they're doing the things that you need them to do before you even ask them to do it. Right? So that rapport with a lead point melee is really important. I suggest you finding yourselves a Beefy in your life and get right with that, because if you get your point team on point and locked in to what the caller's vision is, it's going to be really easy pickings for you, and you can really do some shit with that. Okay? So cool. That's your war prep, guys. Stage 1 is done. We've got through war prep. Now let's talk about the pre-war. The pre-war itself. Okay? This one, we've all been through a pre-war, right? You spend 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes, invites go out. We're going to spend these first 5 minutes getting everyone in Discord, in TeamSpeak. But what's more importantly is your caller can't be doing this shit. Okay? If the caller comes in with a fucked up mind, like I have done for half of my wars in this game, they're not going to be like, a caller needs their brain free and empty and positive and pumped up and hyped, right? Emotions are real in New World, and if you're like thinking about 15 other things other than the game plan and what you need to accomplish, your own gameplay is going to suffer. You're not going to be able to call the war properly. You're not going to have those quick, fast reaction times. Instead of just being like, yo, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, I need you to go with the split, you're going to be like, 4, maybe 6. You're not going to be sharp, right? So make sure that you as the leader, you're getting everyone in Discord and TeamSpeak, right? You're screaming at groups, let's go. I need everyone in this raid plan. Let's tap in. But then find yourself a Marauder HP. Find yourself a Toofs. Find yourself a Beefy, right? A Nitrogen, right? Have a few leaders that are really strong, independent people that aren't mentally disabled or challenged, right? Make sure that, I had to go with a different word there, but make sure that you guys have a strong leadership team around you. So you as the caller can focus on getting everybody into comms, getting your TeamSpeak set up, and getting through the raid plan, while your Marauders and your Nitrogens, your Beefies, your Toofs, your Hawks are scrambling to fill those 5 no-show slots that couldn't communicate that they'd be late or couldn't communicate that they weren't showing up, right? So you're not worried about that. You're worried about the game plan. You're locking the fuck in on your stuff. Let your leadership team worry about everything else, okay? Make sure all healers are crowned as well, which is something your leadership team should be doing, all that good stuff. Next up, we start pre-war 10 minutes before the start. There's 10 minutes left on the clock. Bang, pre-war should start. Why? Because it's really easy to start with consumes and taking your gear off and checking your specs. So you spend the first minute of that 10 minutes telling everybody, take off your gear and put it back on, and remember to switch weight classes. Okay, there's a bug in the game, and you're going to want to do this for every single war. Some say after every single death, but I'm not taking it that deep. You guys can, right? So take all gear off and put it back on. If you're heavy, go to light. If you're light, go to heavy. Simple as that. Next up, you're going to tell everybody to pop all consumes and remind them which ones, right? We need powerful honing stone. We need desert sunrise. We need our attribute food, so our rabbit food or whatever else, and then some sort of regen food. I use energizing heart meal. Other people use other things, okay? Next up, check all specs, trees, attributes, gem resistances. You have to do all that stuff. Check your skill tree. It might be a skill tree from OPR. Check your attributes. Check your gem resistances. Go through all that stuff because you might have spec'd your gems for the M3 you did last night. Your tree might be, or your attribute might be 100 con from the padding in OPR the night before, okay? So make sure you go through all that stuff. You don't want a VOD that shows all that stuff's wrong. Next up, we make sure that at least 40 people are in Discord before the raid plan. Don't start the raid plan when there's 32 people in. If it's still 6 minutes to go and people won't join the call to listen to raid plan, just chalk the war. Make an example. Be a good leader. Yo, if you don't get in for this raid plan right now, I'm leaving and you won't have a caller. I'm just kidding, but you get the point, right? You need to set the tone and expectation. Here in Parmigianos, I told people, if you're not in pre-war, if you're not in the comms, nobody is good enough in this army to be egoing this shit. If you're not locked in, we'll just replace you because we don't know if you're here. We don't know if you're in the call for raid plan, blah, 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 right? So set an expectation for your company and don't let them take advantage of you. Plain and simple. There needs to be 40 of the 50 people in the raid plan call because a couple quad DPS might not be in the raid plan call or, you know, maybe like group 10, a few of them aren't in there, right? It happens. But if 40 of them aren't in the call, don't do the raid plan. You're just wasting your breath. If at least a third of the army doesn't know what's going on, you're fucked, right? So make sure you get that. Thank you, Bunters, again. Yo, Bunters carrying the stream, guys. Bunters carrying the stream. If you got a prime, drop a prime. Thank you, Bunters. Moving on. Start the raid plan. Go through every single slide and reiterate the overall focus for the army in this war. Okay? If you don't know what it's like to explain a raid plan, guys, I'm not going to go through it all. On my YouTube, if you click my YouTube link there and you go subscribe to my YouTube, there's an intro to New World War class right here. Okay? In this war class, you can skim through it. There's a segment where I go through an entire raid plan on attack and defense. Okay? So we're not going to go through it like a pre-war. Most of you have been in pre-wars with me. You know how my expectations and how I talk about the raid plan. Just go through every slide and reiterate the overall focus for the army in this war, right? We're going to start off the raid plan. Yo, guys, last war, our inner is struggling, right? Our inner is having problems. We're going to have to help them out a little bit more. So 4 and 6, I want to see you guys stepping off the point a little bit more, or I'll call you to stay on the point while I send my point team out to inner to help them out. That's the focus for this war, guys. We're going to do everything in our power to win inner because it's where we're struggling lately. There's your focus for the army for the war. And now we're going to start going through every single slide. And that's what it should look like. Okay. Moving on. Be done by 1 minute and 30. So that timer's counting down. You're scrambling through. You're on the last slide. We're talking about fort defaults, blah, blah, blah. Minute and 30 is on the clock. Wrap it up. You know, it's like that Dave Chappelle skit where he's slapping the clock. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Okay. Usually like Mrs. Riot will chime in or somebody will chime in to remind that we're getting close to the end. Wrap it up. Okay. You go to TeamSpeak, you adjust volumes, and you get check-ins from your group leads over the next minute, right? Big Mac, can I get a mic check? Bang, he's talking to me. Toofs, I need a quad DPS mic check. Bang, now I have weak side quad DPS talking to me. You know, and you just want to go through that check and make sure you can hear everybody. Mute some people on the point team so you're not losing your mind when you're listening to 10 voices all calming at the same time, right? Mute a few people. Keep a couple of your melees open, keep your healers open, and that's pretty much all you need to call the point team, right? So yeah. That's that. And then last but not least, we'll make sure that 3 people to stream in Discord. You need 3 POVs at least. More is good, but 3 POVs, right? That helps the respawn caller. The respawn timers, those of you that are using a respawn calling bot, they don't work properly, okay? The game doesn't work, and whatever thing that was programmed 2 years ago to call respawns, they're giving your army the wrong information. I hope you all know that. I never tell these companies because I'm not trying to like mansplain these companies, but these respawn calling bots that were programmed, they don't work properly. That's not how war goes. I promise you. Okay, the game's too broken and respawns are going to change. There's certain moments in the war. I'm not going to pretend like I know, like Mrs. Riot will be like, yo, we hit the 24-minute mark. Respawns go from here to here, and there's an extra respawn to be able to catch up to that, right? There's a lot of shit happening on the respawn timers. You just need a respawn caller. Don't be lazy. Find somebody in your company that didn't make the war that wants to do it. Get 3 people to stream their POVs, and the respawn caller can keep track of where the respawns are at from there, okay? Your bots and your AIs and your people that recorded a system for an hour and those websites that have a respawn calling bot, none of them work. I promise you, you're just griefing your army. They'll say respawns now, and they're actually not up for 20 seconds. Get a respawn caller. It will save your day. Okay. And last but not least, 30 seconds before, global in TeamSpeak. Words of encouragement, reminders of certain things. Yo, guys, let's go. Moppers, they're the best company on the server right now. We haven't beat them yet. We haven't won a war against them yet. Let's come out with some huge energy. Let's kick some fucking ass today. It's Eden Grove. This is the #1 territory in the game. We're making 600K a week off it. Let's lock the fuck in. This is our first defense. Let's do a good job. There's your words of encouragement and then reminder of certain things. Remember, guys, we're really focused on winning inner tonight. Okay. We're really, really focused on moving forward. Okay. I'm not going to argue with you, Plow. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. Okay. I've done 2,000 wars in this game, homie, and never have I used the respawn bot because the respawn stagger and the respawn bot can't adjust for the respawn staggering because it's a bot. It's an AI. It's not real. It's just repeating the same information, right? So it doesn't work. I'm telling you, there's been plenty of times we've seen in VODs where the respawn bot is saying respawns now, and they're not up for 25 seconds. I'm telling you, you could take it or leave it. I don't care. Okay, moving on. Opening goal. Okay, so now we've done all the things and the gates are coming down, guys. Give me like 1 second to breathe here and take a sip of water. Toofs, Beefy. Is there anything else in the war prep or pre-war phase that I haven't talked about that you might find encouraging for a caller or anything? Because I just need like 1 minute to grab a glass of water. Take over the stream. Minute. Or don't. We can sit in silence too. Give me 1 minute, guys.
I mean, I think you pretty much covered everything.
Great info.
All right. Who said we covered everything? I'll believe it. Cryo. Oh, that's Hawks. Thanks for the prime, baby. And Packing Peanuts, thanks for the follow, guys. Get your primes, get your subs in. This is the last class of the month, and we'll be doing more classes in conjunction with Hawks, Tubes, Beefy throughout next month. So get your subs in. Get your HelloFreshes in, too. Get your HelloFreshes in, please. Anyways, moving forward. Let's keep going. This is where the fun starts, right? We just got through the homework portion of the class, the first 30 minutes of it. Now the fun starts, okay? Here we are, the opener, baby. What are we looking at? What are we talking about? It's all going to be on YouTube, yes. Me, Hawks, and Toofs, and Beefy, at some point this weekend or early next week, we're going to re-record the macro micro of main ball and the macro micro of Kill Squad. And in fact, it kind of worked out because we'll be able to do 2 separate videos of it instead of mashing it all in one and me and Beefy rambling, mainly me, not Beefy, but us just like not giving the proper information conjoined together. We're going to do 2 separate videos and we'll put them both up on YouTube. And then this one, as you guys can see, I'm recording. So it'll be up on YouTube, no problems this time. My file got messed up last time. I had to delete a VOD with music and DMCA stuff, and we'll fix it all up for you guys. Just give us a few days to get this information out there. But let's stay focused, okay? Here we go. Opener gold. The gates are down. This is when a caller, we're talking about attack POV through all this, by the way. I forgot to clarify. I have a whole defensive segment that we'll go through, but we're talking, when I'm talking about all this, guys, this is attack caller POV, okay? Until we switch to the defense side and go over defense. Attack caller POV. Opener goal, baby. This is what you want. You want to take 2 points within the first 4 minutes. 2 points, first 4 minutes. If you don't do that, you failed, okay? If you do that, your attack is really clean and good. And if you don't do that, the defense has your number right now, okay? So yeah, 4 minutes on the clock. Gates down, 4 minutes. Let's cook. So here we go. Adjust your calling style based on the opener you want to achieve. And I'm going to show you what a 3-point split opener is. But keep in mind, after we talk about this is just one strategy. Any of you in chat, feel free to adopt this. Feel free to screen record me. Do whatever. Apply this in your next attack war, and I promise you it will go better. But also keep in mind, this is just one opening strategy. You don't have to do this, okay? There's a lot of things you can do, and I state that down here. There's many different openers that may or may not work depending on the map composition or roster, company, all that stuff, right? So let's talk about one. We'll just go over one example of a really good opener and how it works. And I have a raid plan to show you, so for you visual learners, for the people that just don't want to hear me yap the whole time. Okay. So we're going to talk about a 3-point split opener. And when you're splitting, when you're doing anything in the war as a caller, always think about where your advantage and disadvantages are. Because every time you gain an advantage somewhere, you're losing somewhere else. It's 50v50. It's not like you have more numbers than them unless it's a farm war, right? It's a 50v50, everything's even. So understand where you're creating advantages and where disadvantages are being created because of your advantages, right? So here's an example. We're attacking. It's a 3-point split opener. Understand before you even war that perfect rotation numbers are pretty much never communicated, which makes the caller over under rotate. We could talk about when Kilosh was calling, when Hori's calling, when I was calling, when anybody's calling a defense, right? All the OG goats, Ashy, it doesn't matter. They need precise and confined information as to what numbers are going where on the defensive end. You're the attackers. Your job is to create as much chaos as possible. The defense is to react to all that chaos, right? So by attacking with a 3-point split opener, nobody is so good at the game and has the proper communication skills to be like, yo, Apples, 18 are moving over to C. They'll say a bunch are, or yo, they're zerging over to C, but I'll never get like 3 groups and the 3 quad DPS are moving over to C. Now we're getting later in the game where maybe Big Mac might make that comm, or maybe like our wide group might make that comm, and that's something I can work on my guys with. But I could tell you, when I'm attacking Moppers or BBB or any other company in the game, when I'm attacking Quacked and Swan's Calling, when I'm attacking TFR, anybody in the game, right? Nobody is giving that proper information over. So I immediately have an advantage created by understanding that that information is never communicated properly, okay? And there's your advantage. So here's the opener, okay? This one, we're going to send the point team, group 9 and 10. They're going to see a sea of red. Their perspective, their caller, right, is going to see a sea of red wrapping from B to C. Coming out of the war camp, coming to C, right? They're not going to know that this is our point team and this is our kill squad 9 and our kill squad 10. They might assume, because every company in the game does the same thing, that 8, 9, 10 are going over and your point team's at B with your main ball. So there's an advantage right there. They're going to under or over rotate. They might send 2 extra groups to C that are not needed, and your point team is nice and beefy that they can kind of hang tight for you. Or they're going to under rotate, and you're going to get extreme tick at C, but your B is going to be a little pillaged. Okay, so that's what's going to happen on the opener here. Understand our next point, that C will have an early advantage. Well, why is that? Because they're over and under rotating, right? So you're going to get an early advantage at C, but B needs to play life. So all of us at B, we're just LARPing a little bit, getting our cooldowns, getting our debts built up, right? Letting A cook is the most important thing. The more that we live, the less they can rotate to A, okay? So that's all that is. We're living on B. So C is going to have the early advantage. B needs to play life until the rotate begins. And then A should give because of B and C. If we're playing B and C properly and it's not an army diff, A will just give. No caller in the game is going to try and 3-point hold when B and C are both like having problems. They'll just give A, we'll cap A. Okay? That's the first part of the opener. The next part, when you see the rotation from the defense begins, everyone at B now gains the advantage. So as soon as, all right, right? They recognize, all right, comms are coming in. Yo, their point team's here. Oh my God, beefy white guy and nitrogen are on the point, and 9 and 10 are here. We need help, right? The panic in their voice. The caller's going to say, okay, 4 and 6 and 8, rotate over, right? So now, as soon as you see people leaving B off the over rotate because they under rotated for now, you now automatically gain the advantage at B, but C becomes a disadvantage. Again, callers, keep this in mind, right? C has early advantage. B needs to play life. Rotate from defense begins. Everyone at B gains the advantage by stepping into momentum, and they should insta-step and zerg point. You're going to be pushing naturally off whatever's remaining there off the point. So healers, you should be looking to autofill on the bottom of the point, right? Because think about it. They're moving like 15 people off of B, and at that same exact simultaneous side, the caller is calling for everybody to step into B. So your groups are going to naturally get a wave of momentum, pushing off whatever numbers are remaining at B for them. So now your bottom of the point is going to become free, allowing your healers to step the bottom of the point. Your main ball is pushing everybody to the top of point, and now you have full B control, and now you're getting spin because your healers are stepping and their healers are not stepping. So now you're creating spin off the split, right? At this time, and remember though, everybody at C, these guys at C, we're not sending them more help. Now they're the disadvantage. So all of those guys at C need to pull to the left side, zerg the point together, and then drag this fight into Oppo. So I'll show it for you in picture-in-picture format, right? Here we are. We're chilling. Okay, rotate starting from the defense. We're going to step into the point and get active. And now all these guys are going to drag this fight right here. Why? Because point team's dragging into group 9, which is dragging into group 10. And now you're zerged up together. Also, why? The more area we pull them away from B, the better chance we're going to have to cap B, right? So if we start pulling this fight of they have a lot of numbers, even if it's point team, into Oppo, we keep pulling this away and pulling this away and pulling this away, right? They're just following into Oppo and taking that fight. Now it's even longer of a rotate, so they kill you guys or whatever, or they say, yo, they're all the way off, we need to go back to B. Look where they have to rotate from. They have to rotate from out here instead of rotating from right here, right? So these groups are going to pull them into Oppo, and then if they want to try and save B, they have quite a longer rotate back. Okay, so that's the macro there on the split. C is the disadvantage, but the point was never to win C, guys. The point is to get A and B in the first 4 minutes. Remember, you always want to take 2 points within 4 minutes. So here we are. We've done the split. Our B is now getting aggressive. These guys are stepping to the left of point. And all the meanwhile, group 7 and quad DPS, they should be rotating into B to plus into the fight. If A isn't capped within a minute, this is an emergency only chat. If A doesn't cap within a minute, send one main ball group from B. So A is struggling, right? A is struggling. It's been a minute. There's no tick. Group 5, can you go clean up A, please? So you'll have an extra main ball group, and this should be enough to get tick. Now, B is going to lose tremendously when you make that move, but you have to get A. You're going to lose the war if you don't get A. Now, by the way, guys, I see the questions like Beefy is addressing. This is for pretty much every map in the game not named Morningdale or Reekwater. So Morningdale and Reekwater are the only maps that might last point A or will, right? So keep in mind, this is for every map in the game besides Morningdale and Reekwater, and then everything I'm saying, just reverse it the other way. Everything that I'm talking about, okay? So yes, there are a couple maps that this is gonna be mirrored and look opposite, okay? Perfect. So A is rotating into the fight now, right? Here we go. I'm doing a live action drawing for you guys so you can see how this plays out, right? After this point, before you go into your default split, you've been calling all respawns to B, everybody. Hey, Mad Cow, that's a really good question, and I have a lot of good answers for you, but not right now, okay? Read the room. Let's talk about that after the class. I'm streaming all night. We'll take all of the questions, concerns, opinions, comments. We'll talk about it all night, but let's get through the class first, okay? Because it seems like you don't really know how to war, so listen up. This is how you war, okay? Here we go. So if A isn't capped within a minute, we're sending the group. If it's not looking like a guarantee, B or C cap, then you go into your default split. But while we're still here, you now have 7 plussing in, you now have quad DPS in. Some people from group 1 died, so they're coming in. All respawns to B. All respawns to B. Doesn't matter what group you're in, okay? If you're the point healer and you died, go to B. If you're the point melee and you died, go to B. If you're group 10 disruptor, go to B. It doesn't matter where you are, all respawns in this opener need to go to B. Because we're just holding them here while we're reinforcing this. Okay? Perfect. So now, chat, we're at the end of the opener. We've capped A. If it's not looking like a guarantee B or C cap within the first 2 to 3 minutes, then go into your default split. Okay? And this is what your default split would look like, but this is the next topic of conversation. That's the next topic of conversation, okay? So this is just one example. Keep in mind, chat, I just gave you the whole strategy of a good opener. This is an opener that I use, but you have to remember that there's many things that you can do, and I highly recommend to get creative, right? When all the big wigs of New World and all the meta abusers and everybody would be like, apples, we shouldn't do this. Apples, we shouldn't do that. Guess what they were doing the next war for their dropout supple wars? They were using my attack plans. Little old cosmic apples, right? So don't be afraid to shy away from the meta a little bit. Okay. While everybody was 50 manning Zerging B, I was doing splits, capping 2 points in 4 minutes, right? Don't be afraid, because if it works, other companies are going to pick up on it works and they're going to use it for their wars. There's been multiple Cosmic Raid plans that have quite literally been jacked by dropouts and adopted into their plans against Supple. Okay? So don't tell somebody it doesn't work. Provide reasons why it does work. This works because you're causing so much pressure for the enemy caller that they're not going to be able to give you proper information, and you're going to get the 2 points you need in 4 minutes. That's why that works. Okay? There's a reason to everything that you do in this game. But remember, don't keep your same strat for the war. So Windsward tomorrow is going to look nothing like this. When we war Moppers tomorrow, it's not like I'm giving Moppers our raid plan. It's not going to look like this at all. Right? I'm going to switch it up. This was the last war we did against BBB. This is how we came out against BBB. But against Moppers, I'm going to do something completely different. So constantly switch it up on attack. Always switch things up. That's really important. Okay? Get creative. Get active. Bunters, thanks for the gifted sub again. And Ramos, thank you. Salute. Good job tonight. Hope you got some shots for yourself, Ramos. So moving on. Last thing I want to say is there's many different openers that may or may not work. It all depends on the map. Like I said, if it's Morningdale, you're going A. If it's Reekwater, you want to take A, right? Those are important. The composition of roster is important, right? I know that our group 9 has 3 disruptors in a range. I know our group 10 has 2 range, 2 disruptors. I can put them out here together as a Zerg on the split and they will sustain themselves. I also know that our point team will be here while I'm here, right? Understand your composition of the roster before you create your plan, because that might change everything up. And understand the company you're going against. What might work against BBB might not work against Moppers. What might work against Supple might not work against the next company, right? So just keep in mind the company you're facing, they're all different and they all play the game differently. Cool. All right, so that's your opener portion. We've now gone through war prep, pre-war, opener as a caller. Now let's talk about some splits and what we need to do. So we're not going to spend too much time on this. Obviously, I'm not too prepared with the splits, and I want to get through and get to the crashes portion, which is open for everybody to learn, right? But the splits, why do we do them? It's because you're not winning. Well, first of all, you can take the 50v50 on a point, right? But in this meta, you guys see how hard it is to grab the last point, right? Tick is hard to come by unless you're outplaying the defense. The attackers have to actually win. The defense just has to 50-50. The defense never has to win the war. They just have to stalemate. The attackers actually have to win to get tick, right? So that's why splits are really necessary, because if you all think about how long it takes your last point, why would you want to do that to yourself twice? Why would you want to do that to yourself on B and then have to reset and do it all over again at C? That's miserable. So let's split. Let's throw different numbers in different directions. And that's going to throw the caller for a loop where if they don't perfectly match the rotates, you're going to get your second point down. So remember, if it's not looking good in 3 minutes off your opener, go into the default split. And why do we go into the default split? So we can create number advantages and disadvantages that will pull different groups to different points that will allow you to cap the B point. Now, if you somehow steal C and you see it's like 90% and there's an opportunity for you to steal it, steal it. Because the B point as the last point will always play into the attacker's favor, never into the defender's favor. There's so many things you could do as an attacker caller if B point is the last point that you're attacking. So if there is a chance to steal C, steal it. But any decent caller in the game, any decent army in the game will never let you steal C. They'll just completely give B and send their Zerg to C, and you won't have enough numbers at C to cap it. And that's all it is. Okay? So if you can steal C, steal C. If you can't, make sure you get B. Awesome. Thank you, Bunters. You're being so kind today. Thanks, man. So that's why we do them. That's the purpose. The purpose is to get B point or one of the points. And what's it look like? This is a split. Every split in every army might look differently, but this is a pretty default split. Now, you can keep all quad DPS at B. You could maybe do something like this. Point team B with 1 main ball, 1 kill squad. That'll really secure your point, right? You could do different things on the split. You don't have to do what I have on my screen. There's a few different options you can take that'll work. And lastly, why does Group 8 play Bonfire when they're normally Oppo on Inner, right? Well, they're playing Bonfire because you can't just have no presence Bonfire. If they put a kill squad Bonfire, if their Group 7 doesn't stay B and goes over to C, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? You're just going to get farmed if you don't have presence here. So group 8 has to pick up that bonfire roll on the split only. Okay? And that's the split. Essentially, one last thing. If you're on attack, you're going to play quads, play Zerg, and play life. You're not going to play quads. You're going to play Zerg and play life on attack. Right? On attack, we're playing quad. We're not playing quads. We're grouped up together and we're playing life. Whereas these guys are going to start getting aggressive when the rotate happens. Okay? On defense, it's the opposite. You play extremely aggressive. You don't play life. On offense, you play life and play Zerg. Okay? And that's what it looks like. That's a split right there for you guys. And your split should come at minimum 3 minutes into the war and at maximum 4 minutes into the war. You shouldn't be calling a split before that. You got to let A cook unless it's like certain situations you see, right? You can see you might be bleeding on B, let's split. We lose a crash on B, let's split. There's certain situations, and that's just where critical thinking comes into play, right? So that's your splits. All right, moving on. We've now covered splits. We're moving into the crashes. Man, Bunters is going crazy. Can we get a W in the chat for There's 120 people. Maybe you're OPRing and something, but is anybody alive in here? Can we get a chat check? Is anybody alive? Can we get a W for Bunters? Bunters going crazy. Anybody alive besides Toofs, Beefy, Marauder, anybody else around? All right, so we have people listening. We're locked. We're locked on this class. Awesome, guys. Cool, cool, cool. Thank you, guys. Welcome in, all of you. Crashes. We're going to talk about crashes real quick and how to call a crash. There's going to be different techniques when calling a crash and different things to look for. For one, you're always listening to your point team. That's the first thing, right? Where are they seeing the pressures? Beefy saying, yo, we need to move to top right and push these guys off. Yo, the next crash could be coming in bottom right. He might be reminding me they have crash right now. Careful. Things like that. So you're listening to your point team while you're setting up a crash, right? The second thing is you need to have control to crash. That's something that every caller does not grasp in this game, and it drives me nuts. Callers just crash to crash. That's not how we crash. Look at your kill squads. Big Mac, what's going on with Group 8? Talk to me. We're at a 50-50 right now. Give me 30 seconds and we'll push up and get aggressive. Thanks, Big Mac. Heard. Group 9, what's happening? Group 7, how's your fight? Talk to your groups. Remember, that's all the prep stage, right? Making sure you have whispers and things set up. Talk to your groups. The more information, the better for the caller, right? You can look into Oppo and see the flow of it. So we always want to crash into areas we have some sort of resemblance of control, okay? Why do we want to do that? Because if we don't have control, the crash is useless. They'll just leave. The enemy that you're crashing will just get out for free if you don't have control of an area that you're crashing. So let's say Oppo is winning and pushed up, but Bonfire is losing. And you're pushed down on your bottom left, but you're pushed up in your top right. You can now safely call a crash to the right side of the point because your army can crash into the right and they can leave more to the right if you have right side control. So your army crashes the right and then they can all just keep going, right? So imagine them coming in from left to right and they could just keep leaving the point off the right side. Whereas let's say you didn't have control of Oppo. Let's say they had full control of Oppo and you tried to crash into it. Now your players that are leaving off the enemy's recrash are getting killed by the kill squads, right? Getting picked off. All those quarter HP guys that are getting out that would normally get out for free, they're getting picked off by the kill squads, making your crash, again, ineffective and allowing them to all get out of your crash. Now, keep in mind, we're not going to spend too much time talking about this crash stuff because we have a whole Crash 101 where we're going to draw it out and we're going to show you if the crash is coming in from this direction, this is where you go. If, you know, Beefy's going to talk about the 1, 2s, and 3s. Tooth's going to talk about what the kill squads need to do during a crash. We're going to talk about actual crashing. I'm just talking about how to call a crash, okay? So number one, callers, make sure that you have control of the side you want to crash. Do not say, ooh, big clump, I'm going to crash. Don't do that. That's bad. Sometimes it works out because you unironically had some sort of control to make the crash good. Or maybe a couple of your players get really good raps to make your crash good, right? But most of the time, saying, ooh, red, let's crash is bad. That they're baiting you. They want you to do that. So get control of an area before you crash into that area. And this is how an entire crash segment is going to sound, okay? So here we go. We're going to put it all together. Okay, we're attacking. When we're attacking, it means we crash first, okay? They're not baiting us into anything. We have to show our cards. We have to make it happen. So here we go. It's going to look like this. All right, guys, we're in the point. We're set up into our defaults. Get in there. Okay, cool. I want main ball looking towards the point. We're going to start working outside in. Outside in, what does that mean? You're playing on the outsides of the point. You could still be on the point, but it's the outsides of the point and you're looking inwards. That's how we want to set up for a crash. Everybody, we're looking outside in right now. We're looking outside in. Let's go outside in. Okay, I'm going to be looking and then you're going to give a general area to where you're crashing. Okay, we're not going to say bot left because within the 5-second countdown, they've already moved the top right. What we're going to say is, guys, there's Zergs looking to move bottom right now. We're going to be looking bottom. I want outside in. I need VG set up. Get ready. We're looking bottom in 5, bottom in 4, bottom in 3. And then after that 3 comm, right? You never take your crash back after the 3 comm. Because when you say bottom in 3, all of your melees have now popped their cleanse pots. And they're all about to click that G button to start sparkling everywhere. Okay? So as a caller, if you get to that 3 countdown, number 3, crashing in 5, crashing in 4. Hold on, cancel clash. That's okay. That's cool. Cancel the crash. It's all good. You didn't hit 3. But if you get crashing in 5, get crashing in 4, crashing in 3, right there, you're committed to the crash. You're not canceling the crash because all of your melees have just burned their cleanse. Cleanse is a long timer. You need to get a crash off. Even if it's a bad crash, you got to send it confidently. Okay? So here we go. We're crashing in 5. We're crashing in 4. Or excuse me. We're looking bottom in 5. We're looking bottom in 4. We're looking bottom in 3. It's going to be bottom right in 2. Mid right, bottom right. Mid right, bottom right. Because that Zerg has already moved from bottom right, where I just called it 2, to mid right. They're moving upwards to mid right to top right. So you're giving the army information that the general area is bottom. Okay, now we know the area with 2 seconds to go is bottom right. Okay, now we know that they're going to start pushing up to leave that crash when we're starting to get wrapped. So it's going to be bottom right to mid right to top right. All right, so now let's put it all together. We're crashing bottom in 5. We're crashing bottom in 4. We're crashing bottom in 3. We're crashing bottom right in 2. Mid right, bottom right, mid right, bottom right. The Zerg's moving top right, top right, top right, mid right, top right, mid right, top right, mid right. And everybody should be moving as one, slamming that top right, mid right. You already gave information. Your VGs are already wrap them on that bottom right side so they can move up to that top right side and lock them in. You as the caller is getting big vines in to set up the crash. Okay? So that's how you're going to call your crash. Now, after that comes the recrash. So, all right, guys, we're going to spread. They're going to re-hit us. Spread, 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 spread. Now, something companies do really bad, something like I harp about Quacked every time I play them, they don't step the point because they're so scared for the recrash and so scared of dying. So as a defensive caller, you don't always have to recrash. If you see all of them on the attackers scared, get off the point because they know your crash is coming, just don't crash. Why force a bad recrash? Why not just hold it and chill? They're not ticking the point. Why do you need to crash? They all left the point. They're all scared, right? But if they're not scared and they're still on the point, that's when you want to recrash as the defense, which we'll talk about that. So we've crashed. Now they're recrashing. After the crash, we're spread, we're spread, we're spread. Don't get caught, don't get caught. That was a great crash. We're spread. Okay, perfect. Now we're spread, right? All right, guys, we're looking for a re-hit. We're going to re-hit their crash. Now a re-hit means we're re-hitting all of our abilities. And then also, which I'm not going to go into depth because it's another topic, but when Beefy talks about the 1s, 2s, and 3s, this is where your re-hit comes, right? All the 3s that didn't make it to the crash, which you probably are like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Beefy will talk about it eventually and you'll understand. But all those 3s, remember when Beefy talks about it, if you're a 3, you're gonna be a huge point to that re-hit because you still have your debt. And that'll be explained later, so just hang tight. Okay? Well, you see, in a crash, Barbosa, you shouldn't be burning all of your abilities. You don't have time to do that. In a crash, you have time to pop your cleanse, hit your debt, and throw an ability. Whether that's a shockwave, whether that's a grav, whether it's a mail, whatever it may be, you only have time to hit 1, maybe 2 abilities max in a crash before if you don't leave, you're dead. So you're going to have another rotation of abilities for that re-hit. That's why we re-hit. If you're staying in the crash longer than 1 second, quite literally a second, right? Crashing in 3, crashing in 2, crashing in 1, go, top right, top right. We're in the crash, we're in the crash, we're out. That's it. How many abilities were you able to use in that time? 1, maybe 2. And if you use that second ability, you might be dead off this recrash. So then off the re-hit, you will have other abilities off cooldowns. You'll be good to go. Okay? So now they've crashed, we're re-hitting. Let's go, guys. We're going to ability dump and send the rest of our debts. Re-hit in 3, re-hit in 2, re-hit, bottom right, bottom right, bottom right. So we're re-hitting it. Then we're gonna do 1 or 2 things, callers. 1 or 2 things. I know it's a lot of information and you can rewind it and write it all down in the way that makes sense for you. Okay? So we've now crashed. they've recrashed. We've hit, they're going to re-hit. So during their re-hit, right, after we've hit with our ability dumps and the last remaining deaths we have, the caller has an option of one or two things. And this is what makes or breaks a lot of wars right here. So listen, the crash is the crash. The re-hit's the re-hit. This decision is what's going to make or break your point when it's a really competitive war, right? You can either, let's say we got a few kills on the hit, not the crash, but the re-hit, the hit, the re-hit. If we got a few kills, you can instruct your army to stay in it. Because if you've already gotten a few kills, that Zerg has now become more powerful because the enemy lost 3 people and you didn't. So you can stay in it as the attackers and you can instruct the Zerg right, Zerg, stay in it, bot right, and Zerg to top right, stay in it, bot right, and then Zerg to top right, right? And everybody that's supposed to be on the left side should be on that right side. Nobody should be in their default spots. This is an army play. By the way, we're talking about groups 1 through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't listen to the things I'm saying right now. So, you know what I mean? So we re-hit bottom right. Now we're going to Zerg to top right. That's if we got kills. If we didn't get kills, you can't die. So we're going to spread. We're going to spread before we Zerg. So if you get kills on the re-hit as a caller, stay in it and Zerg to an area because you have momentum. Your Zerg is so strong when they're minus a few players because you killed them in the hit that you have momentum to just keep going and keep shoving and run it down their throats, right? But if you didn't kill anybody, or maybe you're down a couple players, spread. Everybody spread and play life for 5 seconds. Then we'll ball back up in Zerg because they're going to come re-hit and dump abilities on you, right? All right. So now we explained the whole crash process. I'm going to say it one more time and then we're going to move on to the next subject, okay? Here we go. We're crashing bot right, everybody. Get ready. I want outside in angles, VGs, get ready. We're going to be crashing bottom in 5, bottom in 4. Wait for the clump. Bottom in 3, your melees pop your cleanse. Bottom right in 2. It's moving bottom right to mid right, mid right, mid right, mid right, mid right. Keep moving to top right. Go, go, go. Crash, 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 crash. Spread, spread, spread. Everybody spread. Everybody spread. Everybody stay spread. They're going to recrash. We're going to hit their recrash. We're going to hit their recrash. Stay spread. Stay spread. Life, life, life. Stay spread. Here comes their crash. They're crashing. Everybody re-hit their left side crash in 3, left side in 2, left side hit, left side hit, left side hit. All abilities are going to get dumped. All cooldowns, everything. Okay. And then you make your last decision. Oh, we got kills. Stay in it. Stay in it. And Zerg to top left. Stay in it. Push them off. Bully, bully, bully. Make them reset. Or, oh shit, a couple of us died. Spread, spread, spread. We're going to re-Zerg in like 5 to 10 seconds. And there you go. That's how you call a crash right there. Crash, recrash, hit, re-hit, Zerg. Stay in it or spread. There you go. That's how you call a crash. And all of this crash stuff, I wanted to keep it really simple for the caller only because we're actually going to go into the crash stuff. Perfect. Let's move on. Regroup. What's the purpose of a regroup and how does it look like? We're not going to spend much time on this, but it is an important thing. So look at the C regroup. Why do we regroup? Because our army is staggering. So anytime you lose, we're in the default, right? We're battling for C. We're fucking, oh man, we're throwing punches. It's getting wild on C, right? And you've lost some players. Say they crash and you lost 6 players. Time is everything for the attackers. Don't waste time. You want every minute you can get inside the fort. Okay, so if you lose a lot of people and Bunters and E4 and Nitro, all you guys chiming in, please keep doing that. It's really good stuff. Give people added context to the things I'm saying. It's good stuff. Keep up the good vibes, guys. Thanks for all those gifted subs, Bunters. Welcome in, Original Mew. But listen, real quick, you lose 5 or 6 people on a crash, don't waste time. Your Oppo, you're 2 minutes into your C default and your Oppo is just hard pushed back here, regroup, right? No need to waste time, guys. Do not waste time. Every second counts in the war, okay? So, with that being said, you lost a few people on point. Their numbers are swinging their way. They're getting a couple more kills because they have more numbers than you. Bang, regroup, everybody. Regroup. Let's not waste time. Regroup, regroup, okay? And here's the regroup, and I'll explain why very quickly, okay? Let me just set this up a little bit better so it makes sense when I do this. Perfect. So group 7's on ramparts because they want to keep a little bit of control for this. So when all of this begins pushing in, they can play their role right here for free and settle into it, right? So 7's on ramparts with some extra quad DPS help. 5 is playing top right. So it makes sense to put them on the right side of bonfire because all they have to do is walk in and they're in their position, right? Really simple. 1 and 2 is going to go right side of bonfire and they're going to slip in. Now you could do different things with 1 and 2. For me, and I'll just tell everybody, 1 and 2 goes to top left, and I like to see them slam down into oppo. This is the hardest part to get control of off a regroup, right? This is really, really difficult. When you're regrouping, it's so hard to get your kill squads. Your goal as a caller during a regroup is to get your kill squads right where I have 1 and 2. Get them to the 50-yard line. Because a good defense kill squads are keeping so much pressure out where I'm dragging this mouse that there's nothing you can do. Right? So our job is to get our kill squad set up. So the point team's going to go to top left and slam down from behind. Group 3, well, where's their default? Take a look. They're bottom right. So look how easy it is for them to step in. And now 3 and 5 stepped in and they can control right side together as a Zerg. Okay, that's why the regroup's like that. Now for all this out here, why is it like this? 4 and 6 is deep to the left of Bond. 8 and 9 is a little bit deeper and 10's the deepest. Why? Let's take a look. Look at their defaults. 4 bot left, 6 top left, 8 inner, 9 here, 10 here, right? Now look at the regroup and how this works. If you're like this, and we spin this a little bit, look at that. It's pretty much the same exact plan, right? So it's just cohesion and cohesiveness to be able to push in correctly. So 4 and 6 is sweeping our road into here and not getting caught on our road. They're going to get up to the left side in their positions. 8, and they're also going to have, remember, 1 and 2 is going to be top left helping them get there from the other side, right? So they're not alone. 8 and 9, 8 is going to help 9 set up because remember 4 and 6 is doing H job. So 4 and 6 is sweeping through inner to get into their positions. 8 is going to help 9 get set up in their lane, right? And then 10 is kind of on their own and they should just be out there. Sounds good? I threw them too far out. But you get the point. We all hate 10. 10 lives don't matter, right? Group 10 lives don't matter. All right. So once 9 is set up at the 50-yard line, and once 4 and 6 are here, right? Now it's pretty easy to do this. 4 and 6, bring it to the point. Point team, bring it to the point. 8, bring it to the point. And now we're all set up. Look at that. So do that off the regroup. And I'll put it back to standard so you can see what it means. And then we'll move on. A regroup is important because it will get all of your 50 together. It will make sure that everyone has their debts charged. It will make sure that you have an army and you're fighting that 50v50. The defense has an advantage on the last point. You need all 50 people there. And callers, also keep an eye on B. Look at the respawns. Keep in mind of your respawn timer. What's happening, right? You need all this information. Did respawns just pop? Okay, let's give it 8 extra seconds before we push in because the game load screen is broken, plus people have to buy cleanse and walk back over to here. Okay? Don't go right off a respawn because then all these people that are spawning at B can't make it here and your regroup is useless. So spend an entire respawn phase having people hold, right? And then respawns coming in. So how I call this is, all right, guys, we're going to regroup. I need some, if you have a bunch of cleanse pots, please hold the line right now. If you're out of cleanse pots or down to your last one, go buy cleanse. And I'm just going to keep reminding people we got to hold this line. We can't get pushed back. We have to hold the bonfire line. If the defense is shoving us and pushing us back, we're not going to be able to regroup properly. And our regroup's going to start out here where group 7 is, right? So we have to hold the line, but we also need to get our melees and other people cleanse pots. And we also need to get our people that died off that respawn wave during the regroup back. So make sure that you're proper. Make sure you're all set up and proper before actually pushing in. Make sure you have 45 out of the 50 people. And all their groups have their healers and shit before you push. Okay? That's the regroup. That's how you call a regroup. That's the purpose of a regroup, and that's what it looks like. All right? Let's move on. This is a very short topic. We're going to speed run this one. Audibles outside, okay? Look at this, guys. We're at the end of the calling class. We're almost there, and then all of you guys that wanted the Crash 101s coming up right after. Audibles outside, everybody. You have to understand when you audible why you would do it and how it's going to impact the war and all the groups around you, right? You can't just be like, war's going rough, let's go to a 10-10 kill squad, right? There's different things that you can do. Here are some ideas. I'm not going to go into depth of how to do them all, but here are ideas. And at least you can have the idea, and then you can kind of figure it out in your head as a caller. Why would Apples do this? Why would he ever go to a 10-10 kill squad? Why would he ever make the point team a flex team? Why would he ever call for 8-9 to Zerg or 9-10 to Zerg? Why would he ever call all quad DPS to somewhere or to flood their road or to slam Oppo? These are just ideas for you because we're so stuck in this default way of playing the game that calling was nerfed for such a long time to being a crash bot, but now you can get a little fancy with it again with TTK low and things dying. You can actually get a little fancy with it. So here's some ideas. I'm not going to explain this to you, just ideas. You can flip to a 10-10 kill squad. You can make your point team an extra flex team and make all your quads sit on point. You can have 8-9 Zerg, or you can have 9-10 Zerg. You can't have all 3 Zerg. So pick 2 groups in Oppo. You can have them Zerg. You could have all quad DPS play in an area, but remember what that does. They're going to have uncontested quad DPS somewhere. You can flood their road, or you could slam Oppo. Here's ideas for you if things are just going really bad and what you can switch into. Okay, the transition phase, baby. This is the good part. This is where everyone gets to breathe. This is where we got the last point down. It was stressful. It was tough. And now we get a couple minutes to just kind of chill out for a second. All right. So listen, last point is capped. Bang. What are we doing? The moment the last point is capped, we're cleaning up as many kills as possible around the point, right? Kill squads are still playing aggressive into Oppo, getting kills, staggering them, right? Because especially with the game being broken right now on defense, the respawns take forever to trigger. They take a long time to actually like come up in the fort phase, right? So use that to your advantage until AGS fixes that and clean up as many kills as possible after the point cap for about 5-10 seconds. If you're spending any more 10 seconds hitting a tank, you're just wasting your time, okay? Clean up the point, clean up some kills, buy your cleanse. Also buy cannons. Cannons are so useful. I never used cannons up until a few months ago, and they're so important for every gate. You're going to want 2 cannons up outside of A, B, and C. As the caller, you're probably not clicking all your buttons properly like me, right? So you should have a bunch of tokens and still a bunch of cleanse pots for the fort phase. So you should buy at least 2 cannons as the caller. And as the caller, communicate where you're going to put your cannons. Yo, I have a cannon for A and a cannon for C. Okay? So now the army knows that we need to get a cannon on A and 1 on C and 2 on B, because you've taken care of one of the side gates each. Whatever you want to do, you put your own spin to it. But you have to have 2 cannons outside of A, B, and C. You need 6 cannons total. Okay, why? The horns per 1 cannon shot drop, like you see that meter drop when you hit it with a cannon. So I want 2 players who are ineffective at shooting the horns on each cannon on the outside, getting horns down. That could be a tank. That could be healers, right? Throw your sacred, throw a clap out, hop on a cannon, shoot a couple cannonballs, heal your group back and forth. That could be a disruptor sitting at the gate with a thumb up his ass, right? It could be a lot of different things. If you're range, shoot the horn. If you're melee or incapable of shooting the horn well, get on a cannon. It's also used for healers. No questions right now, Grims. Appreciate you. Somebody else can answer that. I will take all questions and comments after the class, but we got to get through this. Look at all the information we still got, guys. Okay, we got to go. So, we need, also the cannons are used to break LOS from range, right? Because there might be bunch of fire staffs and bows just destroying your healers while they're waiting there. Well, they can run to a cannon and hide behind a cannon. And now the bows and range have to kill the cannon before they can even hurt the healer. So not only is it for big damage on horns, it's also like a LOS break, line of sight, LOS, from their range. And it gives your healers just a fucking 2 seconds to heal themselves and breathe and then come back into the action, right? Or even your range, right? Maybe Fast is getting targeted because of name aggro. Fast is Thunder, and he's, range bow, and he's getting slammed by 4 fire staffs up above the thing, and he can run behind the cannon real quick and wait for his healer to clap, right? It's good for so many different ways. So get cannons, okay? Send the back gates right away. They don't have to be a part of the waterfall, okay? Here's your fort transition phase. I'll show you what this looks like, okay? Group 7 and 8, you go right to the back gates. Get back there, send your back gates, get them working right away, okay? And look at the waterfall and how this works. You want all range moving with the waterfall, okay? So in the waterfall, group 4 and 6 will stay at A. Let's say we cap the C point, right? And now it's a Zerg to A gate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, quad DPS, add 9 and 10. Everybody in the army besides 7 and 8 should be Zerging this gate, right? Quad DPS, group 10 and group 9, all should be looking at horns, while 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 6 are hitting the gate. Okay, gates down, horns are down, beautiful. 4 and 6, you're going to stay at the gate and play soft and slow. 1, 2, 3, 5 quad DPS are going to rotate over to B. Now 1, 2, 3, 5, 9, 10 and quad DPS are here, right? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get horns and doors down. Beautiful. Awesome. Now they're down. Now 1 and 2 are going to stay while 3, 5, 9, 10 and quad DPS move. And that's because you want your range getting your horns down all the way across. And then you say, when the last horn is cooking, you say, group 10, go back to your gate. Everybody go to your defaults. Here's your defaults. Okay? And it's as simple as that. Keep in mind, in the transition phase, you cannot play the game without getting all horns and gates down. If you try to push, now everything is situational, right? There's 4 minutes left in the war and you just capped the last point. Maybe don't do anything that I'm telling you and maybe just do whatever the hell you want. But if you got a war still in you, 10, 12, 15 minutes left in the war, you have to take the 2 to 3 minutes to get these horns and doors down. Keep in mind, your goal is 1:30 to 2 minutes. Anything more than 2 minutes, you really got to be screaming into your army to get this done. It's just laziness. I have called for armies that are like 10 times worse than the armies I've called at a high level, and they get horns and doors down faster than the armies at a high level. So bad players or players that are new and learning are better at this than your tier 1, tier 2 players left in the game, because those players are egoing and they just want to fight and they're not doing the soldier shit to war. Whereas your players that are just super hungry for a slot and your newer players are going to do anything to get those horns and doors down for you. So all armies, humble yourself. If you can get gates and horns down in 1 minute flat, you're cooking. I think the fastest I ever got them all down was like 50 seconds. But 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes is where you want to be at. Anything more than 2 minutes, you should be cussing your army out. Actual accountability. Range DPS. Why the fuck is Seagate not down yet? Why are these horns still up? What is going on? Figure it the fuck out. We can't play the game because you're not doing your jobs. And you just say that. Okay? Cool. Awesome. And the last thing, a good rule of thumb, guys, a good rule of thumb. Melee's on the door, range on the horns. That's simple as that. Melee's on the doors, range on the horns. All gates and horns down. Then you play the game into the fort phase. Okay. Awesome. So moving on to the last topic of the caller class. I hope you future callers or current callers have learned something. This will all be spliced up and put up on YouTube if you missed it. Okay. Is the fort phase. Okay. Fort phase is a bit of a shit show. It's difficult. It's a hard thing to do. And it's all about experience and timings. Okay. But here's your default inside the fort. And here's your default setups. Things you can do in the fort phase. You definitely want your default push a couple times, where you have two main ball groups on each side gate, a kill squad group on each side gate, and then your other kill squad groups on the back gates. But you can move things around. You could technically send quad DPS to different gates. You could send them the back gates, although I would never do that. You could have audible groups, right? So let's say we've done a couple pushes and it hasn't worked out too well. You can grab a group from C. So you always want one really strong group on each side gate, right? Notice how I have rotate to be Audibles, custom stats group, and optical group. Those are two of our strongest groups in Cosmic on Pangea, right? So if I'm calling for a left side, strong side, this is what I'm going to do off the Audible. I'm going to take group 5, which is our strong group from C, right? And I'm going to send them to B. And while this is happening, I'm not going to do this until we are about 8 to 10 seconds from pushing, okay? So I'm going to say, all right, guys, we're pushing in 10, group 5, come over. Left side, strong side. What my army should know now immediately is that 3 and 9 are going to play very slow and very soft, while 4, 6, and 10 are getting the green light go. Why? Because 4, 6, and 10 are now our strong side. We now have an extra group plowing through B gate. We're going to get a ton of spin, and we're going to look, point team in group 5, we're going to look to this left dirt, and we're going to collapse and get kills all throughout here and bring it to the point. And then when the point starts spinning, the defense caller is going to say, all groups bring it in. And then when all groups bring it in, guess who gets to walk in for free? Because they played smart and soft. The weak side, 3 and 9. And the same exact thing is going to apply if I call 6 over. Now, right side is strong side. Your whole army should know what that means based on saying that. Group 4 and 10 are going to play extremely slow. And you're going to look to do the same thing by getting kills on the right side of the point and ushering your right side in. Then the caller is going to panic, and then your 4 and 10, because they played life and they played smart, they get to walk in. Okay, there you go. That's how you kind of call fort phase. There's an audible for you. You could do other things. You could send different groups to back gates. I got to close my door so you don't hear barking. So yeah, that's an audible that you could use. Fort phase is all about timings and all about creating pressure. Your number one job is to spin the point. You can't win the war without spinning the point, guys, okay? So the one thing about fort phase that I want to talk about before moving on is you want to create pressures, you want to spin the point, and respawns are your best friends, especially in this hardcore attacking meta where the game is broken. This is your default gates, but what about when you're inside? Take a look. You see how everything from the right side, it's just like the outside point, guys. It's the same shit. Everything from the outside is now on the right side. Everything from this left side outside is now on the left side, right? So you have cohesiveness and synergy in your raid plan, right? You don't want 6 over here and 5 over here and groups trying to get to different sides and all that. No, you just make it smart for your army, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to listen for a respawn call. You're going to get everybody to the point as much as possible. You're going to measure numbers. I got +5 on them right now. Let's tick this point. Main ball on the point, right? And what you're looking for is a respawn call. So beautiful Mrs. Riot is going to go, hey, respawns in 5, 4, and she's going to count them down, right? Now, I want to line up a push in or a crash after respawn. So if we're sitting at gates, we want to do it right after a respawn. And if you're, and all this is dependent. Everything's going to change based on how much time's in the war, what's the situation like, how many pushes you've done. Everything is going to change, guys. Everything's going to change. But on a default standard, you'll want to push in, you'll want to wait for respawns. Now, say you're not having a good time pushing in. You can make a play like, we're going to push 10 seconds before respawns. In case anybody dies in those gates, they're going to be able to come right back in, right? But for the most part, you want to use respawns to your advantage, and we're going to crash right after a respawn comes. Now, don't telegraph it. If you're a caller that's always known to crash right after the respawn, maybe don't do that right after the respawn. Maybe wait 8 seconds and have them all like scattered and all freaking out for like 8 seconds and wait for the right time. But you want to use those 45 seconds to a minute respawns in your favor. So we're going to crash, we're going to slam, and then right after a respawn, we're going to catch kills, and it's the same process as outside. Crash. All right, guys, wait for their recrash. I need you to spread on the point, pull top, or pull out to the sides and then pull top. Just spread, spread, spread. All right, re-step the point. We're going to re-hit this area. We're going to re-crash. A lot of things in the fort are go, go, go. So, and then you're asking your kill squads to do different things. You're getting check-ins with the kill squads. You want to look at backstage. You want to remind your healers, where can they play? Hey, top B is under control right now. Marauder just calmed to me that she's up top B for free. Healers, go top B, you're free, right? DPS, go top B, you're free. So you want to tell your healers where the pockets they can play in. Hey, B choke's free. Point healers, you could play there. Hey, shops are free. You can play there. Whatever it may be, okay? So that's pretty much it. That's the standard of an attack. I could go into way more detail about the fort phase but attack, but I would literally talk for like 2 more hours. So we're just going to cut it off there. You get the picture. You get the idea, okay? Now I'm going to take a 1-minute intermission to take a sip and just step away for a second. And then we're going to talk about the defense goal. I'm going to speed run this. Hopefully it takes me 15 minutes, 10 minutes. And then we'll get into crashing the point and we'll have special guest Toos and Beefs on. Okay? Toos, Beefs, if there's anything that you didn't think I covered, now's a good time to just chime in and chat. I just need like 1 minute. Thank you guys. Be right back. And then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. And keep in mind, all of this will be on YouTube. All right, quick little pee, and we're back. Little pee break, and we're back. So, defense goal. Stall the clock. That's your number 1 goal on defense, okay? As the caller, as the army, your number 1 goal on defense is to stall the clock, okay? Your also goal is to 50-50 or win. Do not let them tick the point. Stalling the clock goes hand in hand with not letting them tick. They can win kill squad fights. They can control areas of the war, right? They can have your road blown up. I like to use the Quacked Wars, for example, because it's some of the only wars I've been getting in the game lately, right? But you notice, like, Quacked will do this whole send into, like, whoever they're fighting, whether it's, like, pre-med or whatever, right? They'll do sends into our road on defense. So everything we just talked about, chat, from a caller standpoint is all attack. We're switching sides to the defense side of things, okay? So now just 180-degree reverse, we're on defense. And companies will like try to like send your road or something, right? Everywhere can be a shit show around the point, but the only thing that truly matters is tick, point, tick, right? Now, of course, if they control your entire outsides and they've won all the kill squads and your healers can't play, well, your main ball is going to die, right? Outside in, like all these fights from the outside are losing and it's shrinking in, and now it's impacting your main ball, right? But the main goal is do not let them tick the point. And that's what I stress the most to any army that I'm in charge of. Group 1 through 6, your main job on defense is to step the point. You are the main ball. You are the meat and potatoes of the army. Now, of course, Group 6 might have a role where they have to step into oppo. Point team might need to push people off top of point and get off the point. But you should never be off the point for more than 5 to 8 seconds unless you're a very specific group in the army. You need to be on the point. Okay? And you can limit test this, right? Let's say they have no tick and you're on the defense and you're top right, you're group 6. You can intentionally step off and help inner lane and oppo, right? I'll do it on a diagram again to show you. Here we are. We're on defense, right? 6 is top right. You can do this. They have no tick, by the way. This is the situation. No tick for the attackers, right? You can step off the point and help oppo. Just keep an eye on the tick. If you stepping off the point to help oppo immediately gave them that tick, you can't spend much time out here. You're coming out, you're dropping some cooldowns, and you're right back to point, right? But if you guys all step off the point, all of group 6, and you notice the rest of the main ball is on the point, and no tick is happening, have fun with the kill squad fight. Get active, win oppo, right? You're clearly not needed that second to be on the point, and you can spend 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 seconds out there if you want. But you just have to, any groups that are stepping off to do that, right? Mr. Nitrogen that was playing out here when I saw him today, right? You just have to be aware of the point tick because every single person here is 30 people and you're all people that need to be on the point controlling the tick. This is who controls the tick. Group 8 might help us with the tick, but they're not, their job isn't the tick. Their job is to win inner. So our kill squads can play the game, right? Group 7 can help with crashes and stuff, but that's not their job. That's the main ball's job. So our main ball has to be feet on the point here. Okay? Yeah, I literally walk up. Group 7's common to me. Just a side note, guys. Group 7's common to me. We really need help on ramparts right now. That's when I ask Group 10 to go up, and I'm looking to see if Group 10's out there. Here's our point melee. Right there. I'm not flaming you, Nitro. You always make the right play. I'm just joking. We're just kidding here. Just kidding, kitten. Okay, so let's get into the defense goal standpoint of things. Stall the clock. Do not let them tick the point. Everything you do on defense as a caller is reactionary decision making. Please, everybody in this chat, when I get the VOD posted, I'm going to post this VOD until I can make a YouTube video. So you'll have access to this VOD. When I post this VOD, please, 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 give this to all of your callers because so many callers on defense decide they want to send first or they're going to try and bait. And I'm not going to name names, but we all know who we're talking about. And they really need to understand this point. A lot of these callers in these wars have no idea how to call. And they need to understand that everything you do on defense is purely reactionary decision making. There's times where you can get proactive to achieve a certain goal, but for the most part, you are always reading what the attacker is doing and making calls based on that. It's you against the other attacker. It's a 50v50, but it's you against the other caller on defense. On the attack side, you know, we talked about all these things. You got a lot to worry about on the attack side. You got to worry about your kill squads, what's going on in oppo, who are you going to plus out there, where are your quad DPS. You got a lot of shit going through your head, right? On the defense side, you're looking at their caller and you're matching the things that they're doing. That's all it is. It's a match game on defense. You're not trying to create too many advantages because when you create advantages, disadvantages will pop up for you. You're just trying to be a 50-50, 50-50. We're just chilling on the 50-50, okay? So remember that. Everything that you do on defense as a caller is reactionary decision-making, not being proactive. There are a few times that you could be proactive. When you watch me, I'll get a little cocky. We'll crash bonfire for fun. We'll do some weird stuff, right? But do as I say, not as I do. Like I'm training you in a work course, right? There's very specific moments that you can be weird. On the split, The split is the hardest thing for a defensive caller to deal with. That's where the attackers have the advantage, is on splits. Where I always play on a split, Marauder can confirm, this is how I play the game as a defensive caller on a split. And it's not correct. I'm not telling everybody to do it, but it allows me to get the information that I need to make the calls. So group 4 is now apples. This is me, okay? I am going to play right around here. Why is that? I can see everything from here. Now, there are times where I'm going to step the point and dump my abilities real quick and run back here, but this is where I play when it's a 2-point hold. And I'm playing in this area here because I need to see what's going on at B, and I also need to see what's going on at C, and a lot of you guys know there's rendering issues in the game. So sometimes you'll even see me walk to here because people are not appearing on C. And if you see it from here, you might see all red on C point, but the blues aren't rendering in for you from there because the game is shit, and then you over-rotate and you cost yourself the point. So I'm going to walk over until it's in rendering distance, and I'm also going to listen to what Group 10, Group 9, and Group 8 are trying to tell me. But I'm going to be here so I can keep an eye on this and watch everything else play out, right? You don't do this on the 1 point. You only do this on the 2 points, and this is just me. Everybody will have their own calling style, okay? Maybe you have some really good communicative kill squad players that are feeding you information. You could just sit your ass on the point and call for B. But I'm going to be here so I can mirror match it perfectly. And I'm also instructing in pre-war that 10, 9, 8, they're all self-sufficient groups. I want a strong group leader in each group that can make that call. If there's any human being going to C, Group 10 immediately goes. Now, if there's more human beings than 5, Group 9 immediately goes. And if there's more human beings than 10, the quad DPS in Group 8 automatically goes. I don't need to make that call, but that's something you as a caller have to set up with your army. Those groups have to understand how to play the split. You don't have to make the call if your groups know how to do it. But otherwise, I'll be here so I can understand exactly how many are going over. And I feel like, that's a strong way to call that. So anyways, you want to get vision and match rotates or get good communication. If B or C are ever at a threat of losing, you just give. So, all right, here we are. Group 7's contesting. Here we are, right? Take a look. The splits happened. This is like the split if A loses. So we just give A, right? If C is ticking and you don't have all the information you need, you could just give A. A is just a greed thing for defense. So we give A to allow this to get reimbursed at B, and then you can make better, accurate decisions, right? So that's what you do there. And always try to hold the side point last. So if it's Morningdale, you're always trying to hold A. If it's Reekwater, you want to hold A as the defense. If it's any other map, you're going to always try and hold C first, okay? Or hold C last. So when in doubt, if you're ever scared on defense that you can't hold 2 points, give B. Always give B. And you'll see so many incidents in war happen because the callers greed too much. This is my biggest stress in war. On a split, on a 2-point hold that I throw because I'm having too much confidence in my army to win B and to get to C in time, and I lose C. So if there's any doubt in your mind as a caller, any doubt, nobody can judge you off it, give B. Today in Eden Grove, I heard it from the point team, Beefy and Nitro and stuff. We gave B, but there was a pretty good chance we could have retook B. But C was fast spinning. The kill squad said they had more groups than them there, and they were losing, right? And C was fast spinning, and B was at 80%. So if for some odd reason we lose a few players on B and we lose B, and then we also can't get to C off a 90% tick, I just threw the war because my ego wanted a 2-point hold moppers, right? And it's Eden Grove. And I could hear it in the point team. They thought we could keep it. Oh, give B. All right, give B, But that's just like what it is from my standpoint. This is Eden Grove. This is our first like real defense against moppers. We're not going to throw this war. We're just going to give B and set up on C, right? So give B. When in doubt, give B. The attackers create a lot of advantages when they're at B. They can spawn from 2 different sides. They can set up 10-10 kill squad fights. They can plus into different areas. And B point as the last point is extremely attacker sided. So you want to hold the side point on defense. Okay. Always stay in your default and play like a zone defense in sports. So if anybody that knows sports like Syracuse basketball or in football, when you're in a 2-man cover, right? Or whatever. This is the greatest analogy I can give for defense in New World. You always play it like a zone. We're always one step away from where we need to be, right? That's why the default is set up like this, because these guys take a step, these guys take a step, these guys take a step, right? These guys can step over. It's all in synergizing in one zone, right? And let me show you on default what that actually means as well. On a default, right? Group 6 can step over one position. Group 4 can move up one position to take over group 6 spot. Group 1 and 2 can move up here one position and help this side, right? Or group 4 and 6 can both step out. 1 and 2 can move over, right? Or we're going to send 1 and 2 to Oppo as well, and 3 and 5 are going to be on the point, right? Never move a group further than one step away. And that's a zone defense in any sport, right? The next man is next to you to cover your zone if you have to go to the next zone. But you're never going 2 zones over or 3 zones over. You're going 1 zone over as a group. And that's how everybody in the army should play on defense. Look at kill squads. Group 10 wins. Where do they go? Group 9 fight. 1 step over. Group 9 wins and Group 10 struggling. Where do they go? 1 step over. Group 8 struggling. 1 step over. Group 8 wins. Where do they go? 1 step over to Group 9 or 1 step over to 4 and 6. 4 and 6 hard wins. What do? They can step over to the left side and win the fight over there. There's so many things you could do if you look at defense as a caller, as a zone defense. Only go to one, your one next zone over. You're never for that. I will never ask group 6 to go to group 3 spot. I will never ask group 4 to go to group 5 spot. I'll never ask 3 and 5 to go to Oppo. I'll never ask 10 to look inner. You know what I mean? I'll never ask 8 to go Bond unless it's a 10-10 split. So always one step over, guys. Okay? Zone defense. Moving on. 90-10% of the time, you never crash first on defense. Rule of thumb, this is like the holy grail of defense calling callers. You never crash first on defense. We force the attackers to use their crash, which then gives you full control of the next move, right? So here we go. Our main ball is stepping. They have no spin. They have no spin. Here comes the attacker's crash. Now you have full control. It's all in your hands. They have no crash. What do you want to do with that? Are they just leaving the point because they're all scared that you're going to crash them and they're not getting tick? Hold your crash. Call for a Zerg. Say, guys, I want us to Zerg. I don't want to burn debts here. Let's Zerg. Zerg them out, right? Or do they have the balls and are they playing correctly and they stay on the point but they spread? All right, guys, we're going to resend in 5. Or did we get good angles on their crash where we could just immediately resend it into them because we have them stuck, right? There's a lot of things that you can do, but chat, you can't do it if you're crashing first. You lose the control. If you're the defense and you crash first, you've shown your cards. All of the control is in the attacker's hands now. So on the defense, 90 to 10 time, you never crash first. But here are the 10% of the times you can crash first. You are bleeding out on point. You're the Pirates of the Caribbean captain that's in that slow-mo version, and everything is blowing up around you and everyone's dying around you, and you're just walking around the ship in slow-mo, watching all the carnage around you. That's how I feel as a caller in some wars, right? So you're bleeding out on point, shit's just hectic everywhere, and you need to shake something up or you're going to lose this point. Crash first. That's okay. Or what about this? You can't get control of a specific quad or side of the point. Send with the attention that you're not crashing to kill, you're crashing to immediately just break up their pocket, leave and live, right? Some crashes are there to win the point and kill. Some crashes are more utility based, like, bro, we cannot get them out of our bot left right now. I'm just going to send something and all of you guys, you're going to send it. And within a half a second, you're going to leave. We cannot die on this crash. It's not to win the crash. It's to create space. So that's a time you can do that as well. But again, you're not doing that to win the point. You're only doing that to kind of break shit up. Okay. Or the third reason would be point tick is 75% and going up. You got to make something happen. That's it. Those are like the only 3 times I can see in my head as a caller that I would crash first on defense. Or you've been farming them a little bit and you want to have some fun and send something on bonfire. That's it. That's the only times. Okay. And make sure you're staying to this rule of thumb, because if you're calling against me and you're on the defense and you crash first against me, I've won the war. That's it. I will literally make you pay off of you crashing first on defense. Put the pressure on me, make me call the crashes, and you react as the defensive caller. Okay. Here's the next step. We're almost there, guys. Just a few more bullet points and we're at crashing the point. Always match whatever they do. You are the matching machine, defensive callers. If they go 10-10 kill squad, you go 10-10 kill squad. If they put all their quad DPS in one area and that's radioed to you, you put all your quad DPS in one area to match them. Okay? On defense, now some people might have a different ideology there. Some people might say that if they go 10-10 kill squad, you could just hard win through Oppo even harder. Well, if they go 10-10 on kill squad, it's probably because you're already winning and you can afford by moving that group out. They wouldn't go 10-10 kill squad, like 10 on Oppo, 10 on Bon, if they were winning, right? So it's all about matching, right? If they put all their quad DPS in a certain area, it's probably because that certain area is just getting farmed. So if you match them, it's going to continue getting farmed. Does that make sense? Instead of just hard winning through another side, screw that, match them. On defense, by going even, you win. By making the war 50-50, you auto win. You don't have to actually win on defense. You just have to go 50-50 stalemate. The attackers need to actually win and create advantages to take the point. So outside, defense has all of the control. Stall, live, and win. That's your job as an army on defense. That's your job as a caller. In the fort, make sure you're giving your healers areas they can play. The caller is the least busy person in the fort. They should be stepping back, occasionally dropping an ice wall in B gate or helping another gate or providing freedom or cleanse. That's it. You can see everything. You can look at back gates. You can look top walls. You can look outside of a side gate, all of that. So in the fort, tell your healers where they can play. Fort play, the hardest job in fort is healing. It's so difficult on defense and attack, especially if the other army knows how to pressure your healers and disrupt those pockets. So always as a caller, tell your healers where they can play. Hey, top B control, stage control, left dirt is free, shops are free. Healers, let's get to safe areas and let's keep our army up right now. Bang. Next thing, don't pull gate anchor groups off their gate until the point is spinning hard or until it's absolutely needed. By keeping an anchor group on the winning gate, it prevents snowballing. Okay, so a quick diagram of this, because this is really important. I see this a lot in the game. Let's say they've hard won C gate. Destroyed this whole thing is red, right? But let's say A gate is locked down. There's no red getting through and they can't get through. You can call your flex group or you can call your range group over to the left side. Not both, but one. Whichever one needs more help. So we're going to call our right side flex and we're going to keep these two groups here. The range is going to keep pelting them. They're going to keep destroying here, right? And that allows, we're going to try, hopefully back gates one or something, and we're going to try to win the left, retake the left side of the fort while also stopping these guys from coming in. Because what happens if you lose this left side of the fort and then everyone's like, all right, bring it into point. All of this that you were holding out is now in. Now you're slammed here. Now you're slammed here. Now you lose the war. So only take one group off of a gate to help a losing side. And always try and keep two groups on the winning side. So that way you can like hold them out and get real value and play the game. Okay? Easy peasy. We'll move on. Kill squads match. Don't give free tick if their kill squad starts stepping. So the kill squad should always be keeping an eye on their kill squad, and they should all be 5v5ing, 10v10ing, whatever, right? Chasing them up walls, pushing them off, all that. But there might be moments where their main ball is ticking and they call their 7 and 8 to just go step the point. So if you see spears or kill squad names on the point, you have to match them because they have kill squads on the point, providing vines, providing spears, rend, all this bullshit, and we don't. So kill squads always match kill squads, even if they step. Crash after respawns into the side where you have dirt control. Tell kill squads to look towards the point on the crash. Okay? So as a caller, it's hectic, it's ticking. Respawns just got called. You need to make something happen. Your left side is destroyed, but your right side's controlled, right? Okay, no problem. We're going to crash the right side. And I want these right side groups to look in and the point team to crash the right side, and we're going to crash this right side of point because we have control of right dirt. Our healers are playing in right dirt. Our kill squads are right dirt. They can't get out. So always crash into the side of dirt that you have control on. Tell kill squads to look towards that point on the crash, right? And last but not least, when in doubt, consolidate. That's my favorite word. Everyone always memes me for it, but it's so important. It's so true. The definition of consolidate is make something physically stronger or more solid or combine into a single more effective or whole thing, right? That's what you have to do on defense. You're just trickling and you're dying and you're bleeding the left side, left dirt, right? Let's all consolidate to the right side of the point and the right dirt. And we're going to flip the point and spin it so that their whole army is on one side and our whole army is on the other side, and we're going to retake this fort as a 50. We're going to do it all together of everybody that's alive. Instead of, yo, group 4, can you clean up left dirt? And then they're outnumbered by 3 groups and they die. And then, yo, 1 and 2, you got to look at left dirt and they die. Consolidate. When in doubt, consolidate. Yo, I want the whole army to work the right half of the fort right now. I want kill squads on stage. I want group 10 above on walls on the right side of the fort. And I want my main ball on the right side of the point. We're going to group up. We're going to kill everything on the right side of dirt. Whatever's there, we're going to kill them. And then we're going to push in as an army. And now we're going to retake the fort. And that's when the fort is on fire. That's when, it's all looking doomed. You're about to lose the war. This is your dig deep and fix one thing at a time. Remember, don't try to fix everything at once because you got to play to your advantages. If you're losing everywhere, pick one thing to win and then snowball that one thing and win the next thing and win the next thing and win the next thing. And now all of a sudden half the fort is yours again, right? Instead of saying, yo, 4 and 6, I need you to clear left dirt, and 3 and 5, you got to get right dirt, and 1 and 2, play top of point. Stop spreading everybody out into pockets of 5 and 10 where they just die, right? No, let's bring it all together and let's win this fucking war together. Okay, so when in doubt, when everything's going wrong, when you're at your last thing, consolidate your army together, win a side of the fort, and then push into the other side together. Okay, easy peasy. That's your caller class, everybody. Hell yeah. Windsward push is about to start, but we're going to keep going. Okay, and that's the caller class. It took about like an hour, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know how long it took whenever we started, but maybe like an hour and a half. But that's all the caller stuff 101. If any of you guys have any questions, I'll be streaming all night. I got Tarn spam to do after the push and after the next portion of our class. I can, anytime that I'm just streaming, hanging out, you guys want to pop in and it's not a war and it's downtime, ask me questions. Talk to me about what I talked about, right? Ask me for a raid plan. I want all the callers in the game to get better because it's a snooze fest out there right now, y'all. We need some new calling blood to rise up because some of the current callers aren't it. And they need to actually put in the work and learn some of the things that I talked about today. Because there's not a caller in the game that does everything that I just talked about today. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys got information of it. Now we're going to move on to the crashing the point 101. And Mr. Beefy, do you kind of want to take over for a second? Are you here? Did I drown you out?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hell yeah. Do you want to do you have can you draw and paint, or can you explain the 1s, 2s, and 3s and I can share your screen or something? Anything you can provide to us as an example.
Let me find one real quick.
So Beefy's going to work on that. We're also going to hear from Tuvs. He's going to talk about some things here that he has prepared. I guess real quick, we've already talked about this in the caller class, so while Beefy's finding an example, we'll just knock this point out right away. Crash, recrash, hit, rehit, spread, zerg. Those are the terminologies you need real quick, okay? Crash is you're crashing. We're getting wraps outside in. The recrash is the enemy crashing on top of our crash. The hit is us hitting them or them hitting us, and then we're going to rehit with abilities, with whatever debts we have left. And then spread and zerg. Spread means everybody has to stay on the point, but scatter. Get out, play your life, just scatter. Nobody clump up. And zerg means I don't care where you are in the war right now, like main ball. It doesn't matter if you're right or left side. Wherever I'm calling the zerg, everybody in group 1 through 6 needs to come together and do it correctly together. Okay? So that's what this portion is. Really simple, through the point. We spent more time talking about it earlier. Okay? And the importance of not getting caught in a crash. Making the crash is very important, but it's more important to not get caught, because when you make the crash, you're going to get kills, right? We're going to get 3 or 4 kills, 5, 6, 7, how many kills, it staggers the army. But now when you get caught, all of those good stuff that you just had is just erased and wiped because you got caught, right? So it's so important. It's more important to live than it is to get kills in a crash. Sure, it's nice to wipe 5, 6, 7 people in a clump. It looks good. You get the advantage. You win the point. But if you're getting caught in the crash to do that, that's bad. And Beefy's about to explain the 1s, 2s, and 3s and how to identify what you are in the position to be able to either make the crash or not get caught in the crash. Okay, so what we got, Beef? All right. I'm pulling this up. And then Beefy, do you just want to talk?
Yeah, I mean, this is just super basic shit, but most of the time, the ones are your initiators that crash, right? This will be for attack, we'll say, right? So your ones are going to be the ones who are initiating and sending the shit. And they're the ones that are going to kind of be front and center, and it depends on what quad you are, right? Like where you're at. Usually it's the quad that it's happening in, or like the point team trying to like shove over. But predominantly like where the quad is. And this isn't just like a bruiser thing. This is like I mean, the whole group kind of deal, right? Like your VG needs to be aware like where it's going to like wall shit off. But your ones are your initiators, your two are your follow up, and your three's not gonna make it. Um, so the ones they're initiating, they're the ones kind of like trying to keep everybody like set together and balled up. Um, your twos should be looking to like either body block people on the way out, or they're gonna be there to like follow up on uh like whenever they resend, right? Um, and then three, like they're just not gonna make it to the crash. But your three should be able to like get around and position themselves to become twos once they get away, right? Like somebody could be stuck inside of that kill box that we're looking at, and then they get out and they skate out to where number three is, and then they can like position themselves back down a little bit more once the enemy like resends on their stuff. So
Hell yeah. All right. I'm just making the push ping right now. Perfect. So, yes, what he said, ones are the initiators, the twos are the follow-ups, and the threes are the I can't make it. If you're a three, never force it, guys, right? Let's say maybe you were a half HP melee. So instead of just turning around and entering a clump half HP, you can't make it. And it happens. Now, don't be a three at every single crash. That's how it's going to be like, all right, this guy clearly just can't handle it. But if you're a three, like 2 or 3 crashes of war, there's nothing that bad about it because I would rather you live and save your debt than for you to force your cleanse debt half HP and get blown up. So you need a cooldown or two, you need your cleanse pot, and you need your debt to make it as a 1 or a 2. If you don't have those things or you don't have your HP, just own being a 3. Okay? And the threes come into play. Remember what we talked about in the calling crashing, right? Those threes, when we re-hit the point and ability dump, I don't mind a couple extra debts going there. So if you crash and you just didn't have your debt yet because I was overheating as a caller, or you were a 3 and you couldn't make it there, maybe your cleanse pot wasn't up or whatever reason, save those debts and vines and stuff because that re-hit is almost just as valuable, if not more valuable than the initial crash because they don't have cleanse, they've already burned everything, they don't have debt, and now we're re-slamming them. And if you throw a couple debts and a vine into that, it should kill them with the abilities. So don't always just force it to force it, okay? But that's the whole point. Ones, twos, and threes on the crash. Ones are your initiators. Those are the ones that are in the crash when the call is made or have already begun taking wraps when I've counted down. Twos are the people that are arriving a little late, but they can still make it to the crash. And just make sure also, twos, your main job is to like help with body blocking, like fill those gaps, right? The twos and even the threes. You don't have to burn your debts, but you know, let's say you see a wide opening space right where I'm drawing my mouse right here. The threes can kind of just fill in and body block, ice wall, anything to stop them from getting out. So everybody can have, even if you're a 3, you could still have immense value to a crash, even if you're a 3. All right. So just know that that's the 1, 2, and 3 formula that Naomi came up with. And it makes a lot of sense. It's one thing that I really agree with Naomi on. And I think that's important for your main ball to understand. Every crash, identify, am I a 1, an initiator, a 2, a follow-up, or a 3? I can't make it. And it's okay to be either one of these. Now, if our whole army is a 3, we're pretty chalked. There's only a couple you can be a 3, right? But it's okay.
I
Cool.
mean, if you're gonna be a part of like initiating too, like that doesn't mean work yourself into the middle of the fucking clump, right? Like twos are looking to like they're a little bit late. They might not be able to make it to like where everybody's piling, but they're looking to body block. But one should still be actively like doing that as well, like looking to find the spaces to where they can get out. Like it's really about just like maximizing the efficiency in that kill box to make sure everybody that we're trying to trap dies.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And then I just explained crash, recrash, and the importance of not getting caught in the crash, right? So now we know that. And then how to get in and out of the crash, where are the pressures, and how to trap them in a crash, okay? So this will be the last point until we talk about this and what each player's job is in the crash. I'm going to bring up Microsoft Paint real quick. And you're going to get flashbanged here for a second, chat. But this will be really good for us to provide an example here, okay? So excuse my drawing, but here's the point, right? Here's the point. Not a bad circle. I'll take it. So understand, like I have written here, how to get in before the crash even begins. You need to understand how to get in and out of the crash, even if you're late or whatever it may be. So right when the crash is about to get called, or right when you see their sparkling start to fly, you got to look. Where's my entry points? Where's my exit points? Where the pressure's coming from? Where they're crashing from? You need this thought process in 1 second. You have 1 second to think about all these things. Human brain's a powerful thing. You'll be all right. Just wake the fuck up. Okay? So I'm going to show you that in each spot where our army crashes, where you can get out freely. So you have an example in your head how it works. Okay? So we have oppo control. We're attacking. We're attacking side. This is our side. Okay? And this is their side. Perfect. We need to send the first crash. We have oppo pushed up to the 50-yard line. They're over clump bottom left. This situation happens a lot because their caller is instructing them to pull top. And our caller is instructing us to pull top. And inner is winning kind of, or at least stalemating. So I'm going to call a crash right down here on this X mark, right? So I'm calling, yo, bottom and 5, bottom and 4. The main ball is getting wraps, right? And we want to get wraps on this bottom angle. Now I'm saying, yo, it's moving bottom left and 3, bottom left and 2, bot left, right? So here we go. We're coming down. We're slamming, right? Boom. Boom. They have some red that aren't even involved in this, right? It's not like we're crashing their whole main ball. They have, here, they have some red here and here and here and here and here, like those quads, right? We're only catching half of their main ball, right? So if they have some red over there and some red here, right? Where can these guys on their end, where can they escape from? Well, our group 8 should immediately be looking into the crash central. Big Mac group 8 VG should be ice showering this. Your bottom quad VGs, right? This quad should be coming in and ice showering this. This quad VG should be coming in and ice showering this. Now you have all pockets controlled of where they will escape from, right? Your army is slamming down from all these areas right here. So where can they leave if we trap them perfectly like this? If 20 people are nuking them from top, right, and right, and our IGs are walling, screaming, vinesing this bottom side, where do they go? They have nowhere to go. So this is how you trap them in. Group 8 VG, Group 3 VG, Group 4 VG. Boom, they're trapped. Right? And then, so now that we're crashing down onto here, we kill all these guys. All right, now their recrash is coming. All of this red is coming in. Right? I see so many players will turn around and just re-enter into where they're coming from. Don't do that. Our army did that tonight against Moppers, and that, if anybody was watching the war or in the war, you heard me say, like, guys, in a real war, we cannot do that. We're all dead. We crashed bottom of point, we killed a bunch, and then they all were coming in from top side. So they were coming down right into where our army turned around and moved into. So we crashed, just to let you know, in the Moppers war, our army crashed from top side into bottom side. We got a bunch of kills right here, right? And then our army literally just turned around and went back this way, where all of those reds were coming down to re-slam. Bad, bad, bad. Always look for the exits, right? And if we know that our oppo is controlled, our caller is setting us up for a good crash into our oppo quad there, right? And then we know that all of this black, right? That's us. We can all just leave right here. We can leave right here. We can leave right here. Look at all the exits points that you can leave from. The one thing you don't do is turn around and re-enter the point because their recrash is slamming from this side down into us. Okay? So just understand, one more time, we'll do one more example and then move on. Here's the point. We have bonfire control. I want a top right crash. This is where the crash is going to be. All right, we're looking top side in 3, top right in 2, top right, right? So all of our guys, our top right quad, group 6, VG, wall. Our bottom right quad, group 4 or group 3, whatever it is, wall, right? Our group 8, VG, probably help them with a wall on the left side of the point. Top left VG, wall, right? We're making it so they can't really get out. And our army is probably slamming from this direction, up, right? Taking wraps, getting wraps on this, getting wraps on this. And our group 7 is looking in, walling, or doing anything they can to help. So we crash this, right? That's our entry points to the crash. We get big kills here, but remember, all that red is still here. There's still like 15 players that are going to recrash you. So they're going to all follow right into the path, and they're going to recrash you the way you just crashed. So we don't turn around, right, guys? If we turn around, we're walking into their crash and dying. We just keep going. We keep going with the flow. We leave the point. Off, off, off. And we re-wrap, we hit a pot, and we come back in and get ready for the re-hit. So that's crashing. That's how you leave. That's how you enter. That's how you stay safe. That's how you look for escapes, okay? Always just think about in your head, where can I get a wrap for this crash? And then think about, where do I need to leave from, because where's the red? And all the red is coming from the opposite side of the crash. It's never coming from the crash itself. It's going to be entering from other areas behind you guys. So just keep exiting in the forward momentum no matter where you are. And like, that's my drawing. I hope you enjoy it. Okay? So that's how we find the pressures. That's how we understand that when we're crashing an X spot, where we can leave, where we can enter from. And that's how we understand how to trap them in a crash. All the VGs getting big walls on the point and helping out. Perfect. Awesome. So 2 last things I want to talk about before we talk about the actual micro of every player, and then we're done. Okay? Re-hit the point. After the crash, immediately get out. Right? We talked about it. We crashed, and now their crash is coming. So we're all going to get out. We're out, out, out. Stay spread in your default-ish quads, because in about 10 seconds, we're going to regroup and we're going to re-hit the point with our abilities, and all of our threes that didn't make it to the point, they're going to have deaths too. Okay? Save a couple abilities for this, because we're going to slam whatever area they end up heading into. Get wraps and look for it where it'll be. And then Zerg the point. After that re-hit, so we re-hit the point, right? Now we're done with that. I'm going to make a call to either spread and then Zerg, or stay in it and Zerg. And that all depends what happens in this re-hit and crash. If we have numbers, I'm just going to say, yo, let's dig deep. Let's stay in it and let's Zerg and overpower them with numbers. Or if it's equal numbers, I'm going to ask them to spread. And then in about 10 seconds, we're going to Zerg one side of the point. Why do we Zerg, guys? Callers and everybody. We Zerg because they have nothing left, right? They sent their crash. They've already re-hit with all their abilities. So now if our Zerg is stronger than their Zerg, we win, right? They don't have many abilities left, maybe a few. They don't have Cleanse Pot. They don't have Crash. So it's safe to overclump and use your numbers for about 20 seconds until they get their stuff back. And then you spread. Yeah, well, it's everybody. Remember, Barbosa, all this is happening in split seconds. So every person in the main ball should have at least 2 to 3 abilities to re-hit the point with. It's not just the threes, but the threes will use their deaths and vines that they couldn't make it to the 1s and 2s, right? So the 1s and 2s will use whatever abilities they have. The threes will use their deaths and vines they didn't burn because they were late to the crash, and their abilities, if that makes sense. So the threes are kind of like the juice of the re-hit, if that makes sense. Okay. During a Zerg, remember, guys, it doesn't matter if you're top left and the call is Zerg bottom right, you go bottom right. That's like my biggest pet peeve, and that's what the Parmesanas did so well against Moppers tonight. Every quad group listened to my Zerg calls, and we were picking up kills easily. If I was calling top right, the bottom left quad was top right. Everybody was doing the right thing, and that's what's awesome. Because the caller is seeing an opportunity that if everybody that's left alive groups up in Zergs, we're going to win the point. So please listen to me by saying this. Okay? And in that Zerg, you're going to get a few picks that are going to lead the point tick. Beautiful. All right. We're on the final chapter of this whole class, guys. We got through Crashing 101. We showed you a few examples. Beefy taught you the 1, 2s, and 3s. I showed you how to leave and enter a crash and how to trap people in a crash. We've explained the re-hit the point and the Zerg the point, and we're on to the last portion of everything. Okay? Because me and Beef are yapping, I want to give Toofs a chance to tag in here. Toofs, we're going to skip past main ball and come back to it. Can you talk about, during a crash, or pull up whatever you've prepared, 7, 8, 9, 10, what is each player in those groups, and what are the groups doing? Do I need to pull something up that you have?
Yeah, do I not have permissions to share screen?
I mean, what? That's weird. Do you not?
I don't think so.
Here, let's try Marauder, help. Try edit channel, permissions. Marauder, help.
I can get him 1 second.
Honestly, there's like nobody in this call. You could just call me and share
Yeah.
your screen. Like,
You should
there's
go
3
try
people.
now.
Yeah, I'll,
Try
Three people
now.
in the call. I'm sure
hold on,
Jade,
let me
Andrew,
try
and Rosetta
disconnecting and
are in
reconnecting real
Twitch.
quick.
How would I reach you on Discord? Just join the Cosmic Discord and DM me, brother.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call
Yeah,
you on
yeah.
Discord.
Just go to leadership. See there. All right. So Toof's going to stream, and he's going to talk to us about what Group 7, 8, 9, and 10, what their job is during a crash, and what each player should be doing during that crash. And he's got a little thing that he got up for us. Here's his stream. I'm just going to share my Discord over here. And I'm going to step away for a second while he talks about these things. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I'm not really blocking anything with the camera. It's all you, Toofs. Here's the Crash 101 for Kill Squads featuring Toofs.
Awesome. Okay, so kill squads during crashes, most of the time, unless point tick is high, you're not going to be able to like answer the crashes. Like example, like group 10 is never going to be able to run to answer a crash that's happening when point tick is like 20%. It's just not going to happen. So for the most part, anytime you're playing wide, you can ignore those crashes until point tick is like upwards of 80%. And then you want to start looking in. Group 10 might take space onto like ramparts, look to pressure in, maybe get a few shots towards like the top of point if there's a crash happening here. 9, kind of the same thing. You're going to be mostly winning your fight. Once you're in a winning position, you'll end up here, and then you could look to bring it in. Um, Group 8 is the one exception. This is the closest to a point group out of all of the kill squad. The whole time you're playing, like, you're paying attention to those crashes. So you're going to go up, take your space, and then he's going to say crash top left, and then you'll look into that. And then same goes for like bottom. Anything that's happening on your side, this is where you're answering. Group 7 is kind of the same. Like, these lines are essentially like the lanes that you would play in as like point tick goes up. So you have like 1, 2, 3. Most of the time your fight's gonna be taking place like up here in this area. If you're losing, you might be pulling to the road. Ideally you're pulling it away from point. But while point tick's low, you're gonna be far away from point, so it doesn't really matter as far as like the crashes. But once it starts getting to like this higher point tick up here, then you want to start looking in and answering those crashes. I don't know if Apple's wanted me to go into detail about what every single person does, but as a kill squad player, you're really not meant to live on point. If you have a spear, you can drop a perforate. If you're a sender, you can look to dog some healers along with like your greatsword. Your ranged players are the ones that are really going to be looking to apply damage into the point. And then like that's pretty much it. I do have an example for a video. One sec.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Let's show a video.
So here's a group 8 POV with Big Mac and Hawks on. Let me make sure I have audio on.
Heard? I think your game audio is coming through because someone's playing music in Eden Groove.
Yeah, one sec.
We do have some examples, guys, and Beefy's going to throw you guys some clips too to watch. We're going to watch like a couple really good crashes from different groups here.
Monkey one.
Yep, all good.
Big Mac D.
Trying to go.
I'm clapping.
Mini goes on us, on Big Mac, top left.
I see it. I see mini.
Look the crash, look the crash, look the crash. Sorry.
Yep.
What are we
So-
seeing here?
So here we are seeing you're calling a crash on like top left side.
Mm-hmm.
And he was calling a target to dog out here, so this is a mini eco guy. Although he was a little late to the crash, he was able to go back in and like plus this. But
Sorry.
Yep.
Top left.
that's why he said sorry. Was like, so he called to focus this guy, so his group starts rotating over, and then the crash comes.
I see it.
And then so he's instantly looking over here once he recognizes the crash is happening here, and then he's gonna move back over.
Look the crash.
So as group 8, this is what you're always trying to do: is any crashes that are happening on your side of the point, you are looking to plus that. Whether it's like your entire group, 1 or 2 people, but like you need to have some people plussing this. And he'll just go in and like he was just able to drop one
Sorry.
ability, and then he gets back out and then looks to dog targets that are coming off a point. So like Bowser right here is a VG
Yeah.
that bounced out of the crash, and then he's instantly here to answer it. That's mostly where your value is going to come from as like a kill squad that's playing close to point, is you're looking for the people that are just like leaking out of the point. And you're just looking to dog low targets and just make their life hell when they're trying to survive.
Agreed.
Now,
But
for the
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go twos.
I was just gonna say for the most part, like Group 8 is the only one that's really going to be answering like crashes, unless point tick is high and all of the kill squads are postured to plus those crashes. Like Group 10, you're not going to see them looking at a crash at 50%. Is what I was saying earlier. While you were AFK. And then like Group 7 as well. It's like they're dealing with their fight on ramparts. Like they're not going to be coming down into a crash while point tick is low. But as point tick is up and all the kill squads start coming further in, that's when like more people are going to be answering those crashes.
Agreed. Now, one thing also that I want to see from Group 8, you saw how Big Mac, like, can you just rewind that for one more time? Watch Big Mac. This is what I want from Big Mac every time. He recognizes the crash is coming. He also recognizes, yeah, right here is a great pause. So he also recognizes that, yes, Hawks and Controller King are calling to dog these people, but my crash call is more important than them poking a guy that's probably just going to get full healed, right? And Big Mac has an ice wall. And that's something that I count on to kind of keep things together. And I'm counting on Big Mac, while his positioning might not be completely correct because look where he's walling. He's just walling the clump. I want to see Big Mac get like on the outside of this, be looking in and stop anybody from trying to get out, right? But he still had the right idea. The crash probably came quick. Playing the game is never perfect. If I'm just calling a crash out of nowhere and he's up here playing with his group, he just did whatever he could to impact it. But he's going to get a Vines. He's going to get a Scream. He's going to get some sort of wall down. And then the fire staff of Group 8, whoever that is, I want to see them dumping all of their abilities on that or where the people are leaving from 1 HP. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then, Tubes, one more question. Would Group 9 and 10, they're always way too far outside of the point to impact it unless they've won the fight. Like if 9, if you've won the fight and you're pushed up, your greatest impact can be, again, watching for low HP targets coming off or getting in their road and disrupting healers at this time. Because if a healer's on the ground and can't cast like one of the melees in a crash, that might be the difference of point tick, right? But that's only if
first you want to help the Group 8 win before you push into their road.
Yes. It's always like looking in like Group 9, we're looking into 8, and then, 8's pushed up as well in 1. Let's look inner into road. But these are all like, if you've won the fight, that's not always going to happen. That's just what to do if you've won the fight. Otherwise, just keep taking your fight. And Group 8 should be in here. Now, my one question about that, 9 and 10 out of the picture, Group 7. If I want to call a bonfire crash, sometimes you kind of need that other kill squad on the other side to do something about it. So what can you give any sort of direction to Group 7? Do they sometimes take the crash? Do they never take the crash? Like, what does Group 7 do?
Group 7's never going to take that crash unless point tick is high. Like, because they have their own thing going on. And if you decide to try to like cheat in, it's probably going to be answered. And like, you can't really afford to like do that. You're going to be putting like a lot of your group like in jeopardy, like trying to just ignore everything and run straight to point.
Right.
It's kind of like asking like Group 10 to look in to a certain extent.
Could you ask them like Group 7? I know you can't make it to the crash, but can you look at like maybe a quarter HP guy that's flying off the point into their direction? Can they do that? Is that detrimental?
If they're in position for it, like, because they're going to be playing usually at the top of ramparts. So like their whole goal is to keep that fight like isolated, and then once they win, they could look to bring it in, or as point tick gets high, then they could start looking to have that impact. So once they're actually like in position for it, then the answer to your question is yes to all of those things.
Okay, so is there anybody that will ever help bonfire? Or is that just kind of chalk? Like, maybe the quad DPSs on that side can help?
Potentially quad DPS.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if you have a fire staff in the group, they can look to stat pad on it. Like I know a couple times during that last tour we were in against Moppers, we had 3 BBs on that side, and we're like kind of going crazy, and like we were able to look in a lot.
Okay. There you go. You heard it from Toofs. Group 7 probably don't help the crash, but if you're winning your fight and it's opportune to just look that way and you can, maybe you can help out. Quad DPS on weak side, definitely look for low HP targets coming off the point. And that's it. You got anything else, Toofs?
Inside of fort, things change a little bit. So it's step 1 is just first always control your fight. And then once like you are winning your fight, you can look to bring it closer. It happens a lot faster in fort because our whole goal is to like bring it down into dirt so that we can answer those calls very quickly. So just you're playing in quadrants between like all the quad DPS. Like you'll either be playing at like bottom of point, like in the dirt, top of point in the dirt, but just it's divided into quadrants based on the kill squads. Um, and then from there, you can always look to answer crashes. You just make sure your stage is clear. You can clear dirt, clear hell, and then as crashes are happening, look to get like a perforate off on there, a cyclone, have your fire staffs, like, just get some burst in there. But inside a fort, it's much more realistic to have your kill squads like looking in at every single crash going on.
Perfect. Say less. All right. Well, thank you, Toos, for that. And then Beefy,
Yep.
I'd like to share some of the clips that you sent me, and maybe you can talk about what you're seeing and why and all that stuff. I'll pull them up. And we're just going to quickly talk about, so that's the micro for group 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Now, just to quickly speed run the 1 through 6, because I'd like to get to this push and help out. I'm going to just talk about every player, what they should be doing, and then we'll pull up a couple main ball clips that Beefy provides here and to just show some really quality crash examples of what a good crash looks like. And then we'll ask questions, and then we'll end it. So hold on. Gonna pause all this. Perfect. Great examples. Good, good, good. Okay, so healers, and if anybody wants to like chime in or Toos Beefy, if you think I don't have it all covered, just add on. But healers, let's make sure we're spreading out sacreds. Notice, pay attention if there's a sacred already on the crash target. Wherever the crash target is, the AoE healers cooldowns are so quick that they're probably going to have a sacred on the crash target. And if the crash target doesn't have if the AoE doesn't have it, I'm sure the point healers are going to put their sacreds where the crash will be. So that's 3 sacreds that are probably going somewhere around that crash area, if not the actual crash area. So your groups 3, 4, 5, 6, make sure we're spreading out our sacreds, right? Have exit sacreds. It might not get you the best stats, but if our crash is top right, we know that our army, as a healer, you're thinking about this. We know our army is going to leave from the top right because we're controlling that and pushing them off. So let's put a sacred maybe top right off point. So somebody that's leaving, trying to get out, that's 1 HP, might catch a tick, might catch a heal in that sacred, and now they're back to normal, right? So spread out your sacreds. You don't have to put them in a dead quad per se, but just make sure that we're getting values in our sacreds because overlapping sacreds do nothing, right? And I'm sure the AoE healer and the point team healers, there's 3 of them together, they're going to probably cover the crash. So make sure you're spreading out your healers, your sacreds on the point. And then if the crash is top side, their recrash is probably top side. I guarantee you somewhere in the crash, you can step because the crash kind of consumes half or a quarter of the point, right? There's always a half or a quad of the point that's wide open with not a soul in it. So healers, your job is to look for wherever the crash is going and then go to the opposite side and step. Because if we lose people in that crash, you being on the point is going to help. If we win people in that crash, our tick's going to go even further. Every single bit that the healers can give us is going to help, and there will be free space during and after every crash. It'll only be like 5 to 10 seconds. You don't have to overstay the welcome, but there will be free space for you to take. Okay? Melees. When the caller gets to the 2 count, pop cleanse, do not pile into the middle. Look to Beefy. Why am I reading this? This is your words. Beefy, get in here. Melees, what do we do?
Hello. Yeah, so with the animation on cleanse, whenever your caller starts counting down, whenever they hit 2, if you start your cleanse animation, by the time you like finish drinking and get set up, like you'll be looking to run your full ability. You definitely don't want to stack into the middle. Don't look to like work yourself into where we're crashing. Try to be on the outside. Look to lock them in a box. Be looking to place yourself where they can't get out. And like this is the most important. As soon as your Dedo goes off, like just leave. Like there's no point in staying around. Don't greed or thirst for kills. Like you're just gonna get yourself or somebody else killed. Just trying to like do too much. So like as soon as your Dedo goes off, just get out.
Cool. Awesome. And the number one thing that drives like Beefy or Nitrogen or like good melees in this game nuts is body blocking. Beef, can you like explain how do you not body block someone? Like I think a lot of people that body block don't even know that they're doing it. So can you like give advice on the body blocking issue?
I mean, a lot of it's just like people working themselves into the middle, right? It's like you have to expect as soon as you send something, as soon as you crash, they're gonna send pretty much immediately after.
Mhm.
So like by you working yourself into the middle, whenever they start like regrabbing and all that stuff, like you're just gonna pin everybody else back into the middle. So whenever people leave, like the body block is them like literally running into your body, and they have
Okay.
nowhere else to go because you're just kind of like setting the pick, stuffing them.
Heard. So when in doubt, guys, find angles, and if somebody's already ahead of you on an angle, you can like stack behind them for a second to make your det pop on the clump, but you have to be the first ones getting out because they're trying to get out too and you're blocking them. And a lot of dets do come from friendly fire. Like we're in the way, our melee has a perfect gap to charge out, and then somebody plugs that gap last second, and now both of you die, right? So focus on not getting to the necessarily the middle. Of course, you need a few people in the middle to create the crash in the clump, right? But make sure we're also surrounding the outside of that middle and getting good angles on it because they're dodging and trying to get out of the middle too, right? So we definitely want like all areas covered of the crash. And then we're also, as soon as we're in the crash, while the det is still popping off, you should already be thinking about leaving because the det pops and then you're out immediately. Don't body block people. That's the worst thing in the world, okay? VGs, ice shower your quad side of the crash, right? We already showed that example in paint. Make sure that like if it's a top right crash, right? The top right VG should be off the point, ready to wall that top right angle off to get off. The top left VG is going to angle the top left of the top right quad, if that makes sense. You're not walling the top left quad where nothing's happening. You're walling like in that right quad, the top left side of the right quad, right? And then the bottom quads, the bottom left quad is coming up and pushing into that top right quad, and they're doing the bottom left of that quad. And then same with the bottom right quad VG, you're pushing up and you're walling off that right side, bottom side of the quad, right? So in essence, there should be 4 perfect walls around the crash if all 4 VGs are alive with ice shower doing their thing, okay? VGs, I would almost be mindful of your ice shower cooldown, because if you're just throwing it to throw it on random shit and then a crash is coming and you don't have your ice shower, you've just cucked everybody. Ice shower is like top 2 ability in the game, and it's so good at walling in your crashes. Okay, so make sure we're doing that. Make sure we're ice showering. And then use your abilities, VGs, right? Blow it up. And you're always looking from the outside in. The VG is never in the crash. Let the melees do the work, right? The VG is always right on the outside of the crash, throwing your ice shower, dropping a big vines on the clump, and then screaming and obliving and leaving, right? Or in any order you want to do that properly to not body block anybody, okay? The VG is there to close any gaps they see and help the body blocking and help the ice showers. The tank should always be capable of reaching the crash to absorb it. Watch where the caller moves, as they often telegraph where the crash is, and match that, right? That's what you should do as the tank. You should always be 1 to 2 steps or dodges or whatever away to get into the middle of the crash, because the more that your shield is up doing that damage reduction and you're absorbing all that bullshit, the more that everybody else stays safe. And if you ever like wonder how to do this properly, there's one tank in the game. Like Kenneth is goated, and there's so many tanks that are so good at like doing different things. But I'll tell you, Vimu, that motherfucker, I was against him in like 3 different companies for a while, and I didn't really know who he was. He was an up and comer from Fresh Bench, right? And that guy, every fucking crash I called was in the smack dab middle of it, and he was like the anti-apples. I could not get around Vimu. If Vimu was in the army against me, I am chalked. That dude is absorbing every crash, and it's so hard. I will intentionally look for Vimu and call the crash in a completely different area, and then when the crash happens, Vimu's in the middle of it. That dude is goated at stopping crashes. So shout out Vimu, and if you're ever wondering like how to do that as a tank properly, maybe there's Vimu VODs floating out there in different companies that you can ask for and kind of get with, because that dude is so good at making every single crash and absorbing all that bullshit, okay? Flails, you're very important for the crashes. This is where you shine. You should be looking to use an ice wall. You should be vinesing deep in the clump, like super middle. Get in there and get active. And then use your vortex on the flail to get out and to cleanse everyone around them. That helps you and your army leave. Read the passive abilities on flail and then understand what helps your team and what hurts theirs, right? There's weakens, there's rends, there's extension of cooldowns, there's heavy attacks. There's all kinds of stuff you can do within the flail tree that will give you really good support for your army. So read through it and pick those abilities and make a good tree, right? And then last but not least, the caller, right? We wrap up this caller class and this crashing class with the caller again. My biggest problem as a caller, this is my huge critique that I always fail at, right? Don't telegraph where you're looking to crash. Be capable, but also be capable of diving into that area. So a lot of armies at a higher level, Dalevar and people, they would tell me, they would literally watch where I would move because they knew that I was telegraphing where the crash would be, because they knew that I wanted to be in the middle of the crash, right? So they would just stare at me and what I'm doing the whole time, and they'd be like, all right, Apples is really gunning for bottom left. There's a clump there. They're going to be crashing bottom left. Start spreading. And they would literally like counter my calling by doing that. So now, my advice to all callers, don't telegraph where you're looking to crash, but also be capable of getting there, right? Because you have a flail, you have a vortex, and you have vines. And you're the first person to know where the crash will go. There's nobody inside your head. You're the one that knows where you're going to call it, right? So it's really good to be able to get there first, get that initial vines off that holds them there until your main ball can throw a couple, grav wells or ice walls or anything to keep them there. You're the vines that are going to trap them, and then everybody else is coming in with the utility to pile onto that initial trap, And that's how you initiate a good crash, but you just can't telegraph it. You have to be smart, right? If I want to look bottom left, I'm probably like going right, diving right, and then I'll probably turn around and just like jump into bottom left, and I'm saying, all right, we're slamming bottom left now, vines, all vines, and then they're going to be vines. I'm going to throw my wall out. I'm going to vortex out into my wall, and now not only did I vines them, I also walled off a gap, and I've also cleansed or whatever freedom my army to be able to get out. And I did all that as the caller, and that's the most impact a caller can have as a player in the game. Okay, a well-timed caller will vines into the army wrap crash, changes everything. After vines, step out, ice wall, vortex out, and you're free. Okay, that's it. That's the class, everybody. Beefy, anything else from your end? You think we covered a lot, got it done?
No.
Cool. Let's see these examples. Let's watch the video portions. So this one is a 17-second clip with Latinas and Border Patrol. You want to talk about this one, Beef? Anything on your mind about it?
Nah, this is just more so like what a good crash can look like. Like we were kind of getting fucked up the whole war. Like our wars with them were always like really good. But everybody kind of like dug deep, and this is like one of the like better crashes that we had in like the entirety of us fighting them. Just everybody like playing their positions and stuff, like doing everything that they're supposed to.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's watch it. That is crazy. Let's watch that again. This is war porn right now. This is a great clip. And I also didn't give my army any time to get there. I was saying, look bot left, they're over clumped. Look bot left, they're over clumped. And then I just slammed it. I didn't even give a countdown, okay?
Yeah. Your mic was kind of peaking.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard.
Before the TeamSpeak days.
Yeah, me and Moff just kind of went for it.
Yeah. That's like 11 kills, guys. But Beefy said, holy fuck, we just killed everybody. They literally killed everybody. That's not an exaggeration. Look at this. Look how many die to a well-wrapped, well-timed. There's at least 12. I've already seen 3 die. There's like another 4, 5, 6, 7. Turns around, 8, 9. That's like a 9, 10-person crash kill. That's really clean. All right, let's watch crash example number 1. 10-second clip. This looks like a recent one because I see resolve in it. Anything to talk about here, Beef?
No, this is so I was wrapping through. So you start calling out like the right side of point, and I was pulling towards top. But because you said right side, there's nothing up top, so I start like wrapping off the point around right side to try to lock all these guys into the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're talking about the kill box, just trying like you don't want to work into the middle. You want to be on the outside, trying to make sure that you can like keep everybody locked in.
Absolutely. All right, let's run this tape. Fix 50%. Let's see what happens we do to secure this. And for that caller crash, by the way, you hear me. Right side in 5, right side in 4. I'm not giving any direction, but right side. The army should be wrapping right side, and then I'll call where it's going. Right side in 3, bot right in 2, bot right, bot right, bot right. Right side in 4, right side in 3, bot right in 2, bot right, bot right, bot right, bot right, bot right. That's it, catch them in right. Oh my. Oh my. Very good. Very, very nice crash. And then one more crash example. Beefy, what's up with this one?
This was just another one that I thought we did really well.
Okay.
Just everybody kind of playing their position.
Heard.
Doing what they're supposed to.
Look about left. Look about left. Look about left. Look about left.
So again, in the caller crash, guys, I say you don't want to just immediately send it because we're clump, right? But point team is begging me, bottom, yo, we got to go bottom. I'm screaming, yo, point team, we got to go bottom. We got to get this bottom out, right? Because all they're doing is pulling top and wrapping, which is our bottom, but their top. And tick is this. So, and our kill squads are losing, it looks like. There's Cheeser, Judgmental, quarter HP, which probably means his group's pushed out. So we just have to make something shake here, right? We got to get active. And that's why, like, it's all situational, and it's, you just got to figure it out. So that's why I'm calling like this.
Ball him in the bottom left. Look about left. Look about left. On my left. On my left.
Holy shit. That is crazy. That's crazy good.
Shotgun to get him out. Full top. Full top.
That is an insane crash. And then Bunters wanted us to play one from him, so we're going to pull up his. Let's see this. He's raving that this is good POV. We'll see. I see the potential right now. Point spinning a little bit. I see the potential. It's all over clump there. They do have some control over there. Cluedreal and gang kind of hanging out. Scoots McGee kind of hanging out, right? I see the potential all coming in here. Man, Sandy Mello, you're hyper. This has got to be you've been hanging on to this one for a while, Bunters, huh? This is an OG clip. Let's see how this plays out. I like the setup. Just from seeing the screen, I really like the setup. Let's see how it plays.
Yeah, I'm going top right now. Going top right now.
Quick.
Oh my god, that was the. I'm clipping that.
Now, the one thing I don't like about this crash is there's nobody corralling them in. There's no walls. There's nothing. But his det was able to pop off and catch like 3 or 4 low HPs trying to get off, and that was a good play by
I'm
Bunters.
going top right now. Going top right now.
But the Army needs to do a better job of boxing all these people in.
Oh my god.
That was a really good job. That was a nice clip.
I'm clipping that, dude. You got to.
That was a good clip. Hell yeah, Bunters. So yeah, guys, that's the class. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was about 2 hours and 45 minutes long. I will get this uploaded on YouTube. It will be posted in my VODs. I would recommend you sending this class to every caller in the game. Every one of them. They're all bad. Respectfully to them. That none of them know what's going on. So send this calling class to every caller in the game. Make sure they understand what's going on, at least from the basic standpoints, and clean up a little bit. And then as far as the crashing 101, it was a smaller segment, but it got to the point about everything. And if you follow the things that Beefy Toofs and I talked about crashing the point, you'll be fine. You'll be all good. Okay. So GG's. Thanks for being here, guys. This was sponsored by HelloFresh, everybody. This was a HelloFresh sponsorship stream. If you guys wouldn't mind, listen, I love the subs. I love the gifts. I love the viewership, all that. But HelloFresh, it's some really good stuff. With my code, you're going to get 50% off. You're going to get free shipping, and you're going to get a free item that you get to pick. I recommend the pineapple upside down cakes. It's really, really good. So does Beefy. It's fire. Best dessert you'll have from there. And you get all that. And if you do 3 meals for 2 people, it's $30 with my code. It supports me a long way. I make a good holiday bonus and get this year off to a really good start. If I hit 55 subs, I need 55 subs, and then I'm good to go. We're only 14 away, guys. So if you know parents, family, friends that would enjoy this for $30, let them know. I'd really appreciate it. This was sponsored by HelloFresh. They hooked it up. They sponsored the stream. It was cool stuff. And that's all there is to it. So make sure to check out HelloFresh. Make sure to get active. Help them out. Help me out. It's win-wins everywhere. Thank you all for being to the stream. It's not over yet. I'm going to load up and try and get a lap in for the push because I feel bad. And that's it. We're going to be New Worlding tonight. I guess some Glacial Tarn or maybe some OPRs. And I hope you all enjoyed the class. I know a lot of people couldn't make it for the holidays, so we'll definitely post this VOD up and get active for everybody else. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for taking in the info. I hope you learned something today. I know we rambled a lot. I know we talked a lot. That's what classes are for, right? But hopefully you guys pulled like at least 1 or 2 good things out of it. Hopefully we can get our callers upright and get our armies upright and have better quality wars, because the future of New World's looking up. These seasonal worlds look cool. Practice custom wars are cool. New World League Season 3 on the horizon when we get that going, right? So now's the time to train these players up. Now's the time to get the remaining player base up to speed so we can all enjoy the content that are still here in New World, right? So that's the idea behind these classes. That's the idea about teaching the Hudson Land Company and teaching these callers. Let's have better wars for everybody. Better competition. Better stuff, you know? The GGs. Shout out Beef and Toofs. They helped out. And yeah, I hope I gave enough details for all the callers out there, or wannabe callers, inspired callers, whatever, to get active in New World. So This will be up on YouTube, and we'll eventually post the Kill Squad macro micro and the main ball macro micro up on YouTube as well. I just have to re-record that with those people that have those presentations, and we'll get that up on YouTube as well. So thank you guys. Any questions? Now's a great time for questions. We are wide open for questions right now. Oh, the Windsward push is done. No payout for me. All good. Any questions? Any questions? Better ingredients, better pizza, HelloFresh. Will there be merges for fresh servers? I'm sure eventually, yeah, but I know that AGS, they take like a holiday break and they won't be back until like mid-January. And then it takes them weeks to deliberate those mergers. So I imagine, my prediction, you'll get the first round of mergers whenever they release the new season. I think that's what we'll get. We'll get a couple fresh start servers merged into each other whenever they release the new season. But I also think that they realize that this new season could bring back some players. So they're probably not going to go balls to the wall and drop down to like 3 servers. They'll probably just take like the 2 lowest pop fresh starts and merge them into like the 2 other lowest. You know what I mean? So that's what I imagine what would happen with them. And they'll probably do that late next month before the next season comes out. Did Ramos bait me or not today? I don't know. I don't know. Probably not, honestly. We love Ramos. We love his vibes. But yeah, guys, any questions? Open for questions. You guys were poking in and out, asking questions, and I couldn't really answer them. So if you have any questions, let me know. If not, we're just going to vibe out on New World for the rest of the night. Appreciate you all for being here. I have some more Tarns that I have to run, sadly. Cool. GG's. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you, YouTube, for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and the information. Sub to HelloFresh.